Apply today at gainatrucking.com.
If you're a farmer, you need to hear this game-changing news about crop insurance. It's now possible to protect up to 95% of your farm's revenue, not at the county level, but down to your individual fields. At Trados, we help farms design protection that works with their marketing plan, not in isolation. The key isn't buying another product. It's understanding how coverage, grain marketing, and your operation work together. As hail and wind rates continue to increase, now's the time to ask better questions. Call us today or visit gotrados.com to start protecting 95%. That's GOTREDAS.com. Trados, ingrained in your success.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2.
93.7 The Ticket Sports News go now.
This is Nick Wyman with your sports update. Nebraska softball began the 2026 Shriners Children's Invitational with a bang by shutting out LSU in a 6-0 win. Alexis Jensen grabbed the win in the circle after tossing 4 scoreless innings with just 1 hit and 7 strikeouts. Jordy Fromm came in to close out the game and struck out 4 batters in 3 innings. Offensively, Fromm went 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a double. The Nebraska women's basketball team returns to Big Ten road action tonight to take on the Minnesota Golden Gophers. While Nebraska has dropped 6 of its last 8 games, Minnesota is riding a 6-game winning streak, which includes a victory over Iowa. The game can be seen on the Big Ten Network with tip-off set for 7 p.m. Central Time. Over in the 2026 Winter Olympics, Chloe Kim fell short of her bid to become the first Olympic snowboarder to win 3 consecutive gold medals, finishing second in the women's halfpipe. The 25-year-old American took silver. The Philadelphia Phillies have released outfielder Nick Castellanos, making him a free agent who can sign with any club for the league minimum. Castellanos batted .250 with 17 homers and 72 RBIs in 147 games during the 2025 season with the Philadelphia Phillies. And for all the latest sports news and updates, keep it tuned right here at 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Coming at you live from the heart of downtown Lincoln. This is Old School with Foreman and Orman. Old School with Foreman and Orman is sponsored by Graham Tire Company of Lincoln, Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman.
Here's Troy Detmer dropping straight back in the pocket. Rifles a pass. It was tipped and picked off by Foreman. He's at the 15, 10, 5. He'll score! Foreman got it, and it's touchdown Huskers.
Black shirts answer the call one more time.
And Austin Orman. Hour 1 of Old School is sponsored by Heartland of Nebraska Windows. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right. Welcome in. It is Old School. We're back. Got a full show going on today. Austin Orman with you. Jay Foreman along for the ride momentarily, wrapping up a little bit of business. Really do appreciate everyone who reached out yesterday, wondering why Old School wasn't on the air. That's on me. Didn't do a good enough job warning you that was coming. Wasn't quite sure what the plan was, but we made it through our meeting, and we are back today for a full show. 3 hours, 3 to 6 p.m. weekdays here, 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Brought to you, as always, by the good folks at Graham Tire Company. They're celebrating 75 years of serving the Midwest. More than just tires, they do all kinds of car and light truck repairs, too. From brakes to oil changes, trust Graham Tire for service you can count on. It's Graham Tire who's getting you to the places that matter most. As always, you can be a part of the show, 402-464-5685. That is our starter, Heyman Jewelers. Text line video streams also up and rolling for you on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Go ahead, leave a comment. We will see it, and we will get to it. Let's bring him in, Husker Hall of Famer, 9-year NFL vet Jay Foreman. Jay, happy Thursday.
Yeah, happy Thursday. Another great day, the grilling day in February.
Woo!
In February.
Yeah, we know the girl's been busted out. How did everything turn out? The way you anticipated?
Sometimes it's like riding a bike, man.
I figured. I just want to hear it out of your mouth.
But the only thing that was a little rusty was when you're out of commission for a while.
Mm-hmm.
The timing, like the prep and all that stuff, It's but once you get back in the groove, it's definitely all good.
And I'm sure it tasted the way it always does. Wonderful. On and popping.
Nobody told me that it didn't. So I don't know.
Because you stayed away from the blue cheese, right?
Yeah. Well, no, I didn't get the macaroni and cheese going, but nobody told me it was a little busted. So I'll take it that it was A-okay.
There we go. We're off the air yesterday. Plenty to get to in college football, college basketball from here on out. But Jay, I do want to go to Nebraska football first. Saw some interesting tweets, and these were more NFL related, but I do think that there are plenty of ways you can tie some of these into Nebraska football, looking to improve, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Both from Warren Sharp, who has his own data analysis sort of website. He tweets, how important is it to generate explosive plays in the current NFL? In the 2025 season, if a drive had 0 plays of 15 or more yards, teams were only scoring essentially 1 out of every 6 drives and only scoring a touchdown 6% of the time, putting up just over half of a point per drive. Now, the numbers with just 1 play on a drive of 15 or more yards. Teams scored 61% of the time, so 3 out of every 5 drives they would score. They would score a touchdown on 36% of those drives, which is 6 times higher than a drive without a play of 15 yards or more. And they averaged 3.3 points per drive with an explosive play of 15 or more yards. And that 61% score rate, the highest since at least 2000. Some of that, of course, goes to the expanded range of NFL kickers in a lot of ways. So I think just big picture, right? We'll talk NFL and then narrow it down to Nebraska. 15 yards doesn't seem like a lot, but there's a reason they categorize as an explosive play. You've talked about it's a war to gain a yard and prevent a yard in the NFL. When you hear that, even just one 15-yard play leads to that much higher of a success rate in terms of putting points on the board, what does that say to you?
Well, I mean, it's nothing new to me. I would actually like to see it crank it up. Well, I guess 15 is a big play in the NFL.
First down and a half.
Yeah, and it's not even counting the pass interference calls, which is essentially an explosive play.
Mm-hmm.
And look, to gain 3 yards in the NFL or average at 3.3, where they say you could run it 3 times and get a first down, is hard. I mean, you're playing against the best of the best. A lot of the best coordinators, best coaches, and players have experience. And so to get 15 yards in the NFL is, you got to think it's not a busted coverage. It's you got to beat somebody and then beat somebody else with like run after the catch or a run. The runner has got to get to the second level, make a highly trained, compensated linebacker miss, and then make a highly trained, nickel or safety miss, and then get ran down by a corner. That's just kind of just looking at just basics. Or you got to have, a tight end that's able to, beat a coverage that's rolled to him. A tight end that's able, maybe to run like a, 9-yard dig or 10-yard dig, and then, make the safety that's coming down miss. That's 15, it's probably closer to 20 after that, because the rate of the speed of the game in the NFL is 2 times as fast than in college.
Even at the Big Ten and SEC level?
Even at the Big Ten and SEC. Now, you adapt faster when you come from those leagues, but it's nowhere close. Even when, back when they said Alabama could beat Jacksonville, you couldn't.
Windows closed tighter, guys are on you a step sooner or whatever.
The NFL is set up for essentially one guy to make a mistake on defense, and then you're paying the quarterback or the running back, just on a regular conventional run play or conventional pass play, to find that mistake and hit your head on the goalpost. After that, it's, can we, break even at the point of attack, win backside, or have somebody make a little bit of, get out of his gap backside, have a linebacker guess. Next thing you know, there's Kenneth Walker around the corner. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's how money's made. But there is a big, the days of driving it, there's very few teams that can drive it, let's just say, from the 20 to the end zone.
Yep, 80 yards consistently, punch it in once you get inside.
Well, you got to think, you got to make, you're going to have to make a, third and medium to long, a third or in medium or long during that drive. You're going to have to consistently run the ball. You can't have any penalties and you can't have any negative plays all game long, or let alone a drive.
Even a quarter long, it's hard to do.
Now, that's why those drives, when it happens and they just kind of march it down the field, say they're backed up and they get the ball at the 6, and you march that bad boy down all the way downfield, that's a gut punch to the defense and the whole team. You just really just knock the bottom out of it.
Because it probably took 7-8 minutes off the clock on top of that helpless feeling of, man, we couldn't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, that's domination. And, and teams get to it different ways, but you generally mix in a play or two there. Even like when the Kansas City Chiefs maybe have, they lost Tyreek Hill and they had, Juju Smith-Schuster, all those guys, they were able to get a play. Travis Kelce, one of the plethora of running backs, whether Pacheco or somebody would get a big play, and then they could just kind of bleed you after that. Look at Philadelphia Eagles last year, not this year, obviously, but last year. They would be able to get a big play probably from A.J. Brown, Saquon, many of plays, maybe get 2 in a drive. But if they got 1 in a drive, so then they could go right back to that 3 yards in a cloud of dust, right? Or the Jalen Hurts RPO, he'll get 4 yards. Because once they got the tush push time, they got in the red zone and they just kept doing it 10 yards here, 10 yards here, punch it in. That explosive play is huge. That's why, there's a saying in the NFL, within reason. Now, just take Saquon out of it and Derrick Henry out of it, because those two guys, I think, are the outliers to this rule. You will not lose a game by a running back running for 150 yards, but you will lose a game by that quarterback and that receivers have 350 yards. You will not win that game. And I remember being with Dom Capers and talking with him. We'd meet every Monday, and Vic would be in. We'd kind of meet and stuff like that. And they would put up the stats, and I was just amazed. Because in theory, you're thinking, the guys I was playing against, Emmitt Smith, Eddie George, Edgerrin James, like these are the guys. But that's what they're talking about. We can't give up any big explosive plays, like through the air on consistently. And if they're getting, they're getting those on you, and it's based on the attempts too.
Sure.
Because I mentioned when we played Pittsburgh that year, I think it was Maddox or whatever, he might have threw for almost like 400 yards, but they had almost 100 plays of offense. So the yards per play was way down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Probably nothing down the field, everything short of the sticks, kept it in front of you.
Right. Yeah. So
which gives the offense more chances to make a mistake, like you were saying.
Right. But then we're bleeding the clock because we're just playing. You're playing pitch and catch, and we're playing drop and tackle.
It's movement without progress.
Right. And they're not running the ball either. So it's kind of like we were working on our third down defense or whatever. But on the flip side now, which is interesting, we played Kansas City when they had Priest Holmes, and then when they were really rolling.
Priest Holmes underrated. Forgotten.
Yeah. He got there, and you got to think he's a free agent, kind of just fell into Kansas City's lap, and besides like some other guys, he's probably one of the best. He had the best like 3 or 4 year run.
Oh, him and Jamal Charles almost back to back for Kansas City.
Yeah.
Really
and
good.
So we played him down in Houston, and we were beating him, and this is how quick, like, explosive plays this is special teams, right? Punter punted it down the middle of the field. It's supposed to be coffin corner or out of bounds. Hall gets a big return touchdown. We get the ball back, punt it again, give up a explosive play, extra point, right? Just like that. Come out again, turnover, explosive play on for them on offense. Now they're up by 17, just like that. But it's all set up by explosive plays, because when we looked at the yards at the end of the game, and then we looked at us on defense, that's why you see, like, in these stats, we're like, oh man, you had 45 plays on defense, had like 4 or 5 bonehead plays. You're like, man, we dominated for 40 plays. You have to eliminate those explosive plays and keep them to a minimum.
The other thing that Warren Sharp tweeted out, and I think this is where we can start getting into a little bit of the Nebraska conversation, specifically, Jay. Under center dropbacks. Rams led the way, one of the top offenses in the NFL with the most, followed by the Bears and the Seahawks. Detroit was next, missed the playoffs, but you trust their offensive structure. Niners and Bills. Okay. Cowboys, Patriots, Packers, Vikings, Texans, Jaguars are pretty much the top half. That's a lot of playoff teams going from under center now. We saw Nebraska mix more of that in.
Yeah.
Did you think that going under center more, whether it's NFL or college, to drop back and pass is an advantage because it's kind of gone out of style? Teams aren't as used to defending it. What's the benefit maybe to some of those top offenses in the NFL, to going under center and, having offensive success that way?
Well, it's not conventional anymore, so it does throw you off. And there's not a lot of quarterbacks that can play under the center, and the ones that can are, like, really good.
You got Stafford, Caleb Williams, Sam Darnold, Jared Goff, Brock Purdy, Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, Drake May, Jordan Love. Your top group there.
Right. There you go. So now you're playing with against the best quarterbacks, and it gives you a different look. I think when they went out of the pistol or gun, it would make my job as a linebacker easier because I can see things clear. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The running back's back there. It's not like you're going to have him in the pistol and he's going to be up close to the line of scrimmage. And I felt like it, unless you have a really good offensive line, it limits the type of runs that you'll face. Now, the ones that can really run it out of there, when Philly was really running it, then you're in trouble, right? But I think it provides a more element of play action. I think you can do more out of that offense. I think it helps with the timing as far as the receivers. So I think, going under center more, I think you can control the clock a little bit more too. Meaning you can be in there, okay, we're going to snap this at 8. Right? So as they're moving around defensively, when at 10, I got to that's my last read right there. So the communication's more effective because when you go out of kind of the pistol or the gun, you're kind of looking, how they look to the side and all that. There's not much of that, communication. So I think if you can do both and be effective at both and don't tip your hand, that's the biggest thing, is being able to have the same type of pass plays, run plays under the center, pistol and gun. You'll be, doing really well offensively.
I love your Whiteboard Wednesday breakdowns and on YouTube as well. It seems like every week you say the offense is giving it away. The offense is giving you a clue. The offense is giving you a tell. It's funny that offensive coordinators wouldn't have learned like that, or at the very least have to catch up to defensive coordinators who have gotten so good, especially the top defenses in college and the NFL, of disguising their looks pre-snap.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lost art. Now, but the hard thing is, though, Austin, and let's just take the college level. Obviously when I was in college, there was no transfer portal. So we're working on these disguises even when we were like growing up on scout team, because that's what we had to do for our offense.
Yeah.
Then you go and do it for, say, we had all of us in the line. We've done it for 3 or 4 years together. We know how to hold our water, who can really handle it. So we're an advantage. Now you got guys coming in for a year or two, and it takes a special group of guys to be invested in the whole product. You get what I'm saying?
Right. Not just let me do my job.
Let me do my thing. And so so that's a little bit of it. And also I think that they changed the rules so much that allow offenses to be so aggressive that's missed from the defensive coordinators, in their kind of repertoire a little bit.
Yeah.
And they didn't see advantage of it because they felt like they would snap it, then you wouldn't be able to, stop one of the 4 plays that they're running. But I was blessed enough to be around. I went from Coach McBride, Wade Phillips and Ted Cottrell, to Greg Williams, right? To Dom Capers and Vic Fangio, to who was my coordinator? Oh, Tim Lewis at the Giants. He's a really good coordinator, longtime NFL coordinator via the Steelers.
Yep.
And then Mike Nolan / Singletary in San Francisco.
Jesus.
Right. So I've been really blessed with guys that are kind of like, oh, okay, let's look at this. What are the tips? Whether, they'll give you answers to the test. Whether it's by an offensive lineman's alignment or by a quarterback giving tip, you look at the receiver splits. You generally can tell when a receiver's getting the ball, especially when you break the huddle, how they break the huddle. Their body language will tell you. Linemen as well. If they're in the huddle and you look at the quarterback, if you can see the quarterback, how long the plays are.
Let me guess, run plays are shorter, pass plays are longer?
Right. Then you can just tell. And you look at the running back, he'll be looking where he's going, and then he'll come back there. Well, you already tipped yourself. Because when he's reading a blitz, he's scanning from, say, he's offset of the quarterback, from center over to the left. Very rarely, now, if you have a Marshall Faulk when he was with Peyton, he would check from blitzer here and then help out over there. He would do a full scan.
But that's rare.
He's got a yellow jacket.
Yeah.
So, there's other things to it that you play the percentages, you play the players and all that, but you got to really put a lot of time into it. It takes a lot of energy to be successful as a defense, let alone individually.
The only other thing from this under center thing that really stood out to me is, of those quarterbacks that we mentioned going under center the most, you would say Caleb Williams is a young guy and Drake May is a young guy. Yeah. On the flip side, Jay, the bottom of that list for fewest under center dropbacks, this is in ascending order, so fewest to more. Jaden Daniels, college spread guy. Patrick Mahomes, college spread guy, always been more comfortable there. Philly only had 50 under center dropbacks all year.
Yeah.
Cincinnati, Joe Burrow, big preference for him. Atlanta, cycling between Michael Penix and a little bit of Kirk Cousins here and there. The Saints, Tyler Shuck, recent college guy. Jackson Dart for the Giants. Cam Ward, Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of they're fitting what they drafted. But I think when you look at Mahomes, he has the ability to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And it'd be really good to maybe dive in to see, how effective in what plays they like to call with him under center. But a lot of these guys are coming from spread. But I think when you get older or when you want to expand your game, you got to add a little bit underneath the center. And I think also you can see, for me, as if I was a quarterback, I can read the linebacker's body language and the safety, the closest safety, which you can generally read the strong safety, whoever they deem that, or the nickel in closer proximity. At the line of scrimmage, they're 3 or 4 yards away versus line of scrimmage and I'm 7 yards deep.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now the distance, you have to have the distance factor. So, I mean, it's going to kind of go in flows. You know what I'm saying? Both offensively and defensively. It's a copycat league. They're going to look at the successful players. They're going to try to fit incoming quarterbacks in this kind of subject into certain, let's just say, uniforms, right? You get a guy coming out of college, he could fit like Dak Prescott or Jordan Love, or he could be like Joe, whatever, so you have to be careful in not getting like successful drunk off of doing it one time. Yeah. That's why you see a lot of the sophomore slumps because you haven't expanded your game and everybody's thinking like arm angle and all that. No. What can you do the same way to the same output, right? Success, just doing it differently. So you could run some corner seam route, you know what I mean? And switch route, one's running as a post and then you hit this or whatever your play is. But all you have to do is be under center and have a little bit of motion. And then that's the same play versus.
But it looks different.
Right. That's it. That's San Francisco's offense. They run about 6-7 run plays, if that. And they just do all types of stuff with it. They just get to it a different way. They're not going to, there's not that many plays that you can run. You get what I'm saying? You're not going to come out and run power, then stretch zone, inside zone, then quick toss.
Then you'll run counter just for kicks or something.
Guys are too good. You can't even do that in the Big Ten. You're going to run the certain plays. You're going to dice them up. You're going to see if people can communicate, which is the biggest part. And also, if I was under center, I can hear the communication a little bit better.
Yeah.
So
then bring it home to Nebraska. Where can Nebraska football, especially offensively, get more explosive? What's the simplest ways for this 2026 offense to average more than what they did last year? Now, averaging more than the 5.8 yards per carry that Emmett Johnson did, going to be difficult. You had Mekhi Nelson at 5.4 and Quentin Ives at 6.7, but that's on 20 combined carries. You look at Dylan Raiola last year, averaged about 8 yards per attempt and 11 per completion. TJ Lateef, 7.3 yards per attempt, 12.2 per completion. That's not that much. Whether it's the run game or the pass game, where can Nebraska get more explosive?
Right in the middle of the field. Ja'Cory Barney and Lindenmeyer. Carter Nelson. That's it. You want to get explosive? Start dominating in between the hashes. And different. That's area routes. People call them flood routes. I call them area routes or levels, whatever you want to call it. We saw it against Michigan.
Yep, broke that one down on Whiteboard Wednesday.
You can run crossing routes or level routes that way, right? You can run crossers short underneath, get, and then you can run the deep dig behind, right? That'll end up being at one or either at the first hash or in the second one when you clear through the windows, or you just got guys that can just beat guys in certain routes. Lindenmeyer against a linebacker, too big for a nickel, or Ja'Cory Barney against a guy like me via motion on a option route, or we used to call them NIF routes or fin routes. That means you're just reading my leverage, and it's essentially 6 yards. You make somebody miss, house call it. And on top of that, now obviously you got to be effective outside, right? That's
right. Isaiah Hunter winning one-on-one.
That's a known, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, of course, you want to get better there, right? And you want to be able to take the top off and all that stuff, run after the catch, make somebody – that's just every single year.
Yeah.
Middle of the field, become effective and efficient because it allows you to really open things up for easier passes out there on the edges. That's the first way, especially if Big if. And this if is, I think, is one thing you should feel like the offensive line should be just
Better
by
at.
right, just by the guy. Well, you paid for it. If you're able to get not so much lone warrior successful run game like you had with Emmett. I mean, where they can line up and punch you in the face and get 6 yards.
When you actually get guys to the second level every
Right,
so often.
right. And you got guys running down. If you get that on a consistent basis, then here comes the play action pass. Then that's where your explosive plays come from. Then you can do all the like fancy stuff. Then oh man, this dude's a genius. You know what I mean?
Right.
When you're not moving the ball, you trying to run some like, I wouldn't even call it trick play, but some like kind of new version of your play, ain't gonna work. Because the defense is back and we're playing with tons of confidence. We got the guys pinning their ears back and going to kill your quarterback.
And whether it's Calandria or Latif at quarterback, Jay, explosive plays for them, I think, have to be more in the gut punch realm, right? Both those guys have the ability to run the ball, but you're not looking for the Adrian Martinez explosive play where you can go for 40, 50, 60 out of a broken pocket. And, the defense is turned with their head to their man, downfield. Yeah. An explosive, 12 to 15-yard run for Calandria or Latif, whoever it is, at the right time, that keeps Nebraska on schedule.
Yeah.
That's the other element that Nebraska hasn't necessarily had. And for the most part, you would think that would be between the tackles or at least between the hashes. Nebraska hasn't run a lot of quarterback to the perimeter. Even when TJ Latif got in there, you would think that, okay, it's 3rd and 7. Can you dial up quarterback drop, the right time in the right place because you've had some success other places. I think that's another element that Nebraska, maybe not the 50, 60 yard, quarterback runs, but to get that 12, 15 yard to spark a drive, that's got to be Nebraska's repertoire this year.
Yeah. I mean, you could go half roll. You can do a full roll, excuse me. You can do the waggles and all that stuff. And it actually makes the reads a lot easier, right? But you're still running the same routes. But then also, if you have that conventional run game going, you can kind of dictate the coverages.
Yeah.
And so then therefore
make them play heavy.
Right. Your vision and ability to complete the ball potentially for more explosive plays becomes way more easier that way. But as far as the quarterbacks go, yeah, I probably wouldn't advise either one of them to try to think they're trying to replicate Taylor or Adrian Martinez, especially Adrian, because if you go back and look at that, there were some great runs and he was a really, 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 really good off schedule. But eventually defenses, when it comes money time, defenses will be prepared for it. They will have something, a spy, package and all that. So then that's eliminated. So then nobody's open. Here's an example for basketball, right? If you got a heavy volume dribbler guard in the 35-second shot clock and he dribbles for 20 seconds of it or 25 seconds of it or 20 seconds of it, passes it to me or you, well, the defense is waiting for me and you. So then we got to give it back to him.
We're attacking a set defense.
Right. But the defense hasn't had to play defense.
Right.
Well, then you over exhausted yourself and then you're shooting a bad shot versus when it's constantly moving, the defense is always, playing, passive. That's what the type of mindset you have to be. You got to be strategic about it. And the best place to start is the quarterback position because, if you're running the ball at a decent clip, you should see a pretty fair amount of man-to-man because you're trying to get somebody else down in the box, whether it's, robber defense or whatever you want to call it. Man free, man too high, all this stuff they put out there. You'll get some cover 3, or you get some cover 4, but you'll be able to run guys off, and then that's when the quarterback is being able to, the guys are dropping. It's 3rd and 5. Somebody goes, I'm going to tell you the difference. If it's 3rd and 5, and I drop to 8 or 9 yards, that quarterback, if he has a clean pocket, he should get the first down every single time. I'm dropping back. He's in a 5-step drop. I'm reading him. So that's a too deep of a drop, actually, depending on the pass routes.
Okay.
He's coming downhill. I'm coming downhill, but I'm already going backwards.
But you have to take that one more step to plan and then get forward.
So, and it's timing too.
Sure.
So you don't get back there and I'm just waiting. I'm talking about timing it. When you read it real quickly, I'm still dropping, right? And so say it was quick game, right? Like a 3-yard 3-step drop, so it'd be quick. And I'm out of there at 9 yards, and then our offensive line is like set hard, and then it's still a clean pocket. That's a first down because you can run away from wherever the down safety is And that hook drop linebacker can't get you within 5 yards.
You got that angle to the sideline,
Right.
get out of bounds, save the hit, but you beat
with
him
our
to the spot.
quarterbacks now, because both of them can run pretty good. So those are the ones that you can really focus on. Those are the drive extenders. Those are the energy takers away from the defensive players, the staff, and their sideline, because on their side, they're expecting cover 3 or whatever they called against quick game. We should be off the field.
Yeah.
Then when you're able to pin them back, that's when you get no explosive plays, because you're playing too passive, because you got your back against the wall. Well, then now you get it back close to the 40 or 50. You know what's coming. Take a shot.
War of attrition.
Right. And then that's how you get explosive plays. That's why you see some run teams, when they're really running the ball effectively, score 30, 40 points sometimes. Just like if you look at Iowa against Vanderbilt, they were able to get some explosive plays built off position or field position football.
Yeah, I mean, those teams like Iowa, even Minnesota, sometimes they won't put up 30 or 40 often, but when they do, it's short field. They don't have many drives, but they start so close, and it's easier to go 40 yards in 10 plays than 96 yards. In 10 plays. So it's all set up the way that they want it to be. You mentioned Barney and Lindenmeyer. Those are two guys we had on the graphic. I knew you were going middle of the field. I knew you would.
Yeah.
Curious to see if they use Barney more vertically or horizontally this year too.
I think you could do them both, but you got to be strategic. I think when you go horizontal, I'd like to see him on their side of the line of scrimmage. That's the crossing routes. Now, vertically, I'd like to see him motion in and try to get, it's kind of like if he motioned in from the number 2, acting like he's doing a crossing route, get in and run. We used to call it a away route. They're running away from that middle dropper, that dropping on 3. Trust me, I've been there against Marvin Harrison.
Yeah.
And you're just
outrunning him.
You just outrun him.
Yeah.
Right. And then you'll be able to hit him in between the hook dropper, right?
Yeah.
And the outside zone player. And then after that, it's up to Barney.
Good stuff there on the Nebraska football offense. Couple guys invited to the combine. We'll talk about that. And here's the question, 402-464-5685. Is Nebraska football's next first-round pick on the 2026 football roster? We'll have those conversations as we continue Hour 1 of Old School, brought to you by Heartland and Nebraska Windows.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Here's Stacy from Petal Creations.
Ordering flowers is intimidating if you don't know what you're doing.
Petal Creations experts care about designing a bouquet that conveys your special message from the heart.
You deserve to have a personal florist that you can depend on, who can take your message, turn it into a bouquet, and deliver it in a timely manner. And the rest is up to you.
Petal Creations in the Edgewood Shopping Center or at petalcreations.com.
So give us a call. We've got you.
Just got the brakes fixed on my car today.
You did? You haven't even left the office.
I didn't need to. I got a guy who picks up my car and drops it off when it's done.
Well, who's your guy?
Graham Tire. They have pickup and delivery service at all 5 of their Lincoln locations.
Schedule your service online on the Pickup and Delivery tab at GrahamTireLincoln.com. That's GrahamTireLincoln.com. Let us do the running. Some limitations apply. See store for details.
Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you. Whether it's your home, your family, or your future, Jack Russell has the proven experience to get the job done while developing authentic relationships with you. Give Jack a call today at 402-421-9100. Again, that's 402-421-9100. Or visit one of his 2 locations in Lincoln or Seward and learn how you can excel in the complicated world of insurance. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, a trusted and well-respected representative since 1999.
Empire Netting and Fence delivers top-quality netting and fence solutions. From major sports venues to backyard installs and everything in between, coast to coast. We take on tough jobs with grit, integrity, and a strong commitment to safety. Empire is growing, and we're hiring motivated people ready to grow with us. We build each other up, and we're building something big. Think you've got what it takes? Apply now at empire-fence.com. That's empire-fence.com.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs, from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Planet Fitness has everything you need to get stronger just around the corner, so you can give everything you've got. Whether you want to crush a few reps before class with our expanded strength equipment or sweat it out on your way home from work. With over 2,800 locations, there's a Planet Fitness close to you, and most are open 24 hours. Save when you join for just $1 down, $15 a month. Planet Fitness. We're all strong on this planet.
Join the club today and get your first month free. Just $1 down, $15 a month. No commitment. Deal ends Friday, February 13th.
See club for details.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2.
Let's fly. Your next trip starts at Lincoln Airport with American Airlines. Now flying nonstop service to Dallas, Fort Worth, and Chicago. American Airlines connects Lincoln to major hubs and destinations around the globe. Wherever you're headed, LNK gets you there with new nonstop flights on American Airlines.
Now boarding.
Convenient, fast, and stress-free. Book your next flight at LincolnAirport.com. LNK, make flying easy.
Have you been looking for home technology upgrades but don't know where to turn? Online information can be contradicting and confusing. Lincoln's own experts at Diode Technologies can turn your living room into the place to watch your favorite sports. Whatever your vision is, Diode Tech is ready to make it a reality. From home theaters to outdoor entertainment spaces, they bring you along through the entire process to make sure you get exactly what you want. If you're ready to upgrade your entertainment space, visit Diode Tech online at diodetech.net or give them a call at 402-793-5123.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back in. It is Old School. Austin Orman and Jay Foreman with you, talking more Nebraska football here in hour one of the show that's brought to you by Heartland of Nebraska Windows. They're based out of Hallam, Nebraska. They offer free estimates, full window replacements, all vinyl triple pane windows, and a lifetime warranty on everything while keeping their prices affordable. Heartland of Nebraska Windows is locally and family owned with their own team of installers. Give Heartland of Nebraska Windows a call today for more info, 402-430-3852. You can also visit them online, heartlandofnebraskawindows.com. Jay, 2 invites to the NFL Combine, the Underwear Olympics for Nebraska football, Deshaun Singleton and Emmett Johnson. What do those two guys have to show at the Combine, do you think, to improve their NFL draft stock?
Well, I think for Emmett, the thing that hurts him is, the question is size. And that's, without a doubt, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously the Minnesota game, and they equate size to ability to pass protect. Running the ball, catching the ball, character off the field, and all the interview, he'll be just fine. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I'm sure he's a smart kid. He knows the game. So the thing that he has to do is run really well. He'll blow it up in the quickness drills and the bag drills and all that, but he has to run really well.
What's really well for him? Sub 4.5?
If he runs sub 4.5, he just made him a lot of money. Made himself a lot of money, or secured himself a lot of money. He's got to run low 4.5s for sure.
Okay.
And if he's able to bust out, because what he's gonna fight against is what you want them to say is your game tape as fast as your 40 tape, or you're faster than what your game tape looks like, long speed.
Yeah.
Because that when you're small like that, you want to have like Danny Woodhead.
Sure.
That's a perfect example. That speed, is the ultimate eliminate. It eliminates a lot of. Well, yeah, he can be small. He get a crease. His house calls. So that's
Darren
where.
Sproles, maybe.
Yeah, right. I mean, that dude. You don't remember him, Austin. I don't even know if you might have been. I don't even know. No, you weren't even a thought yet. My man Lionel James.
That predates me.
That was with Dan Fouts in that San Diego Chargers offense. Boy, Lionel James. Hey, I had him in fantasy.
Yeah.
When I used to check the Star and Tribune. He was making me. Hey, I was getting a lot of quarters off of him. So that's what Emmett needs to do. Deshaun probably run well. I think that helps him. The thing that helps him is his size.
Yeah,
because he gives you position flexibility. But what he needs to do is run well and jump well, and then obviously the drills and like quicks and stuff. But that if he runs well and jumps well, he'll make himself.
If Deshaun Singleton catches on to an NFL roster, seems special teams is in the mix. Do you think he's kind of that hybrid safety linebacker type? Is he more a box safety, a field safety? Where do you think the NFL will see him?
I think that a team would be interested in him because he's played various roles, and so that's also what gives him, might boost him up over some guys where he can play multiple positions. He could probably do well against tight ends. Obviously they got, he's got to, like everybody, work on your coverage, and it's a lot more physical going against tight ends.
And there's some good ones in the NFL.
There's some excellent ones, and there's great running backs, so he can help you there. He can probably play a box safety there, if he wants, and all that. The biggest thing that he's going to do at the next level is consistently be physical and all that. But I think like his leadership and his ability to play multiple positions puts him in a good spot to get drafted.
Good dude.
Yeah, a phenomenal dude. Awesome. And you really pull for a guy like Deshaun because he, has done it the right way, came a long way.
And most importantly, sat down with us at media days.
Right. And you could talk to him forever, man. You really pull for him. And he had a good year, and I think he got a little banged up, but he runs well and jumps well and does all the drills, and he'll interview well. He'll both of those guys in their same position, and they can go in there and secure themselves a pretty good amount of money for their financial future.
I think I asked you this last year, but it's worth revisiting again. Is Nebraska's next first-round draft pick on the 26 roster? Last year, I think we said, Dylan Raiola had a shot, and of course, Pritchett was getting mocked in the late first round as early as last year. So Wright had played his way into conversations. No combine invite for him. Maybe a little surprised by that.
I am surprised about that because he played well down the stretch last year.
Yeah.
Played well this year, and then played decently well in the slot. And then his all-star or, the all-star games, he kicked butt, and, we'll see when it starts. Sometimes you'll get a late invite. You got an agent try to get you in there. But I think for him, he's still in a really good spot. I think for him also, you'd like to be at the combine. Trust me. I was there. But I think for him, people are going to be checking him out because he, again, can play outside, really, really competitive, will play special teams, a captain, great character, and he has shown the ability at his size to play nickel.
Yeah.
So, again, the more
key position in the modern NFL.
The more you can do, better for him.
Yeah.
So, the first round pick on their team, a lot of that's tied to wins. Let me see. Just on size alone, maybe Pritchett if he has a really good year, consistent, really good year. And a lot of it depends on what other guys are, coming out in the draft.
Williams-Nwaneri?
Yeah, if he has a good year. At least I think those two are in the same spots. They have to have a really good year. Tape's got to be good. And you could just say, instead of like first round, just say the first 3 rounds.
Yeah.
Or like middle second round and higher, or, high third round.
Day one, early day 2 type
original
guy.
day one guys, like back when they only had 2 days of the draft instead of 3. Probably those two off the top of my head I could think.
The loaded receiver class, so even a good year for Isaiah Hunter doesn't probably play his way into that conversation.
I mean, DBs is just kind of really in flux right now, right? Because it's only Marshall that's the only starter coming back.
Yeah.
Marshall.
Well, Guthrie.
Yeah, he's got a long way to go. And the other corner is going to be up for grabs, right?
Yeah.
And then Deshaun's gone, and then also Buford's gone. So really kind of circumstances have kind of led to that.
Maybe one of the transfer linemen in the mix, maybe.
Yeah, I'd have to see him. I mean, Nebraska's rolling offensively. A lot of those guys are, maybe not first round, but they'll get, definitely looks. I mean, the size and being able to move people is appealing. Maybe like Black, the guy that's coming from Iowa State, because for him, he's primarily a guard, but, can kick inside. So therefore you got position flexibility. Sometimes those guys go down to all-star games and get drafted a lot higher.
Nebraska's last first-round pick still Prince Amakamara back in 2011. Nebraska's had 6 second-rounders since then, Jay, and most of whom have carved out good careers. Look at Cam Jurgens in Philly.
Excellent.
Worked out pretty well for him. Cam Taylor-Britt started his career off really strong in Cincy. You look at then Amir Abdullah, lasted in the league for a while.
He's still going.
Randy Gregory had, his own issues, but when he was on the field, played a role for some teams.
He got it together. Went up to Denver, got a good contract, and then was with San Francisco. Look, you have a heck of a career when Tampa Bay wants to give you a boatload of money. He's like, man, I ain't coming to training camp.
Speaking of Tampa Bay giving a guy a bunch of money, Levante David, second rounder.
Yeah.
The other second rounder in that mix, Jay, is a name I'd kind of forgotten about. Had like 1.5 good seasons at Nebraska after a position switch. Stanley Jean-Baptiste was a second-round corner.
Man, that dude there, I thought he was going to be special. I wonder what happened like when he got to the league.
Well, he had that pick against Ohio State. He had just switched to corner from receiver.
Yeah. But just long arms and he looked like a natural there at corner, like a Bo Pelini special.
Yeah.
All his best DBs were running backs originally, or offensive guys originally.
He was kind of in that Boom Jay, no pun intended, Legion of Boom, right? Long, lanky
corners,
defensive backs, and he just made the switch, had the pick against Ohio State to help seal it.
Yeah.
And that was a couple of years down the line. But
definitely Levante is the best of it.
Mm-hmm. In terms of the later round guys, just in the 2010s, you look at Niles Paul, last in the league for a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Roy Haleu did as well. Jared Crick had a moment.
Yeah.
Rex Burkhead carved out a nice career
he
for
played
himself.
a long time.
Who drafted Rex?
Cincinnati. Yeah.
I'd forgotten that part. Spencer Long.
Oh yeah, he played a long time too.
Had a moment, absolutely. Andy Janovich.
Yeah.
Was a 6th rounder. Malik Collins still playing. An unfortunate injury, but he's become an important piece for a couple of years.
He was on the way to be an All-Pro this year.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like later in his career, he's taken off.
Yeah.
That's under the radar. He's really played himself into one of the better defensive tackles that played here.
Mm-hmm.
He's good. He's a good player. He's a great dude too.
Yeah, him and Valentine.
Yeah.
Were, not an all-time combo, but of the 2010s,
yeah,
probably the best interior defensive duo or 1-2 combo Nebraska's had. I would probably take those two over even like Ty and Nash from a couple seasons ago.
They were dominant at times. The thing about Vincent Valentine, it was like you were just waiting for that next step, and then Malik was there. Vincent Valentine, I think, went to New England, won a Super Bowl right away, and they kind of fizzled out after that. I think it was a weight issue. Can't speak for him. I'm just going to just remember a little bit. So he never added. He needed to add more what Malik added to his game as pass rush wise, being that big.
Yeah.
So you had your fair share of players. Combine is real though, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had Cornell Green was my first roommate.
Okay.
I played against him for Central Florida when they jumped on the map against us with Dante Culpepper.
Culpepper, yeah.
But he was a tackle. You know what the next dude was? I was there for 3 days. You get a new roommate every night. And I had the weirdest one. I started with Cornell Green.
Okay.
And we actually became friends because we played against each other. Next one was this dude named Tony George that played at Florida.
Okay.
That actually lived in Charlotte by me.
Oh.
That ended up, yeah.
How much junk did you talk to Tony?
I didn't. Only time the last time I saw him, I saw his name in the paper. He shot somebody at a club.
Oh no.
Yeah. And he was like a fitness trainer. And then the last dude, when I was leaving or checking out the league, my man Ricky Williams.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I had to just reacquaint myself after we played him.
What's up, Ricky? Remember me?
He you know what? He actually was cool. He actually is cool though, man.
Yeah.
He actually I don't know if he would like anxiety in front of the camera. He actually is a cool dude. We'd always talk after games and stuff, you know what I mean? And all that. He was I liked him. I enjoyed him.
Nice.
Yeah.
Friends or enemies become friends. Or friendly.
Yeah. We were friendly. We weren't friends.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's Husker Hall of Famer Jay Foreman. I'm Austin Norman. This is Old School. What's the craziest thing you have done or would do to watch your team? There's a guy in the Olympics that just got arrested going to Slovakia's hockey match in Italy. We'll tell you the story for that. Maybe some Nick Castellanos news as well when we get back to wrap up Hour 1.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, Lincoln, if you're a diesel technician who's ready to earn up to $40 an hour and you're tired of working nights and weekends, listen up. Inland Truck Parts and Service is hiring experienced diesel technicians right here in Lincoln, and they're offering what every hardworking tech wants. Monday through Friday hours, no nights, no weekends, and paid training on advanced diesel technology. With 37 locations across 12 states, career advancement opportunities are endless. Start building towards your future and apply today at inlandtruck.com. That's inlandtruck.com. Or text APPLY to 785-369-1320.
Let's fly. Your next trip starts at Lincoln Airport with American Airlines. Now flying nonstop service to Dallas, Fort Worth, and Chicago. American Airlines connects Lincoln to major hubs and destinations around the globe. Wherever you're headed, LNK gets you there with new nonstop flights on American Airlines.
Now boarding.
Convenient, fast, and stress-free. Book your next flight at LincolnAirport.com. LNK, make flying easy.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you. Whether it's your home, your family, or your future, Jack Russell has the proven experience to get the job done while developing authentic relationships with you. Give Jack a call today at 402-421-9100. Again, that's 402-421-9100. Or visit one of his 2 locations in Lincoln or Seward and learn how you can excel in the complicated world of insurance. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, a trusted and well-respected representative since 1999.
Looking to get a room downtown or near South Lincoln? Abe Lincoln would tell you no to the Ford Theater and yes to Lincoln Hotel. Save up to 40% off downtown Lincoln prices with a nice clean room and comfortable stay. Lincoln Hotel is locally owned and offers a day pass to the city's largest locally owned gym, Good Life Fitness. Long-term stays are available. You can learn more about pricing and book your Lincoln Hotel stay today at staylnk.com or call 402-600-0565. That's staylnk.com or call 402-600-0565. If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
This is Bill Mitchner, Executive Director of Lincoln Lighthouse. Did you know Lighthouse provides multiple programs for students such as one-on-one tutoring and mentoring, as well as pro-social skill exercises, while providing them a nourishing meal and a safe space during all months of the year, even during school breaks? Learn more or contribute to Lighthouse at lincolnlighthouse.org today.
Most resolutions for the new year fail before January is even over. Why not resolve to just be a little bit cleaner in 2026? Nebraska Auto Detail is here for you. Now through March 30th, if you purchase a ceramic coating, you'll get a free interior detail. There's no better way to start your year than taking care of your car and decluttering the mess that it becomes so easily. Book your detail today at NebraskaAutoDetail.com or call Joe and the team at 402-601-5086.
If you're tired of the dieting circuit paradox but still want to look, feel, and perform better, you need to get to Nutrition Authority and ask about our nutrition coaching featuring LifeBase. LifeBase takes a complex world of nutrition and makes it simple with real results that last. Stop in to learn more or check us out on mynutritionauthority.com.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket immediately after every Nebraska men's basketball game for 1 hour of post-game recap. The Nebraska Basketball Postgame Show is sponsored by Union Bank and Trust, John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electrical, Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, and the Lincoln Airport on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Here's Stacy from Petal Creations.
Ordering flowers is intimidating if you don't know what you're doing.
Petal Creations experts care about designing a bouquet that conveys your special message from the heart.
You deserve to have a personal florist that you can depend on, who can take your message, turn it into a bouquet, and deliver it in a timely manner. And the rest is up to you.
Petal Creations in the Edgewood Shopping Center or at petalcreations.com.
So give us a call. We've got you.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back in. It is Old School. Austin Orman and Jay Foreman with you. Hour one brought to you by the good folks at Heartland of Nebraska Windows. You see down below, scrolling below is 402-430-3852, the number to call there. Jay mentioned the craziest things people have done or would do to watch their team. There's this guy from Slovakia who was arrested at the Winter Olympics last evening on a warrant that was issued against him by the Italian police 16 years earlier. When this man was 28, he was on the most wanted list in Italy, or some wanted list in Italy, for a string of thefts, is what the NBC sports desk is reporting. So went on a bit of a crime spree, left the country, could not resist the urge to go watch Slovakia in its Winter Olympics opening hockey match. As soon as he checks into his guest house in Milan, knock, knock, knock.
That's funny. I mean, you couldn't go to the sports bar? You've been on the run this long.
16 years.
And you don't have a fake ID yet? Right? I mean,
or it's a bad one. They see right through it. You use your real name to check in.
I
or
guarantee. If you're dumb enough to go to the Winter Olympics, where there's probably, besides the president coming down O Street, probably one of the most security laden places.
Right.
And you're gonna check into a place. Guarantee it's your name. Man. And if you were going by an alias, you should have saved a different one for this.
Have one in the back pocket.
Yeah. This is my special occasion one.
That's my brother. That's not me.
Yeah. Man, just couldn't resist. Thought he got away with it.
Speaking of couldn't resist, last year, Nick Castellanos of the Philadelphia Phillies got pulled from a game in favor of a defensive replacement, cracks open a beer from the clubhouse, brings it into the dugout. And just today, Jay, the Phillies cut him.
Yeah.
So apparently he was John at the manager, Rob Thompson, for a while. Beer may or may not have been a factor in that.
Well,
what's the NFL equivalent of cracking open a beer and bringing it onto the sideline?
Well, like after you get pulled, that'd be the equivalent of Antonio Brown just taking your pads off.
Oh, sure.
Leaving the field, or forgetting your helmet in the locker room and you're eating a hot dog.
There we go.
Not thinking that you, and then they need you back in the game.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, but you know what? They still owe him $20 million, right? So
Yep.
I mean, he's probably thinking, all right, I'll be at home for a little while.
I'm cool.
I know they have, because I know some players that played in the MLB, like Tony Womack and Junior Spivey and all those guys. I know they have beer in the locker room. After games they hang out and fellowship, and there's nothing wrong with that. They do it sometimes in the NFL. You got to be ignorant doing that, coming into the dugout. That's just, you know what? Like if I was
like you're trying to get cut.
If I was one of his teammates, like, come on, man.
Well, and that's what this article says, is that two of the leaders on that team, Kyle Schwarber and JT Real Muto, who were also out of the game at that point, so like, dude, you can't do that. Get back in the clubhouse before cameras see it. But it was too
late. Yeah, you know better. A little bit of regret when he kind of comes to, and you got to appreciate where you're at, because sometimes you can take it away from yourself or get taken away from you.
Castellanos, a 34-year-old, coming up here in March. 694 OPS, 123rd out of 145 qualified hitters, -6 wins above replacement.
Yeah,
so you're at the end of your career, frustrated your season's not going that way. But Jay, you've talked about it. How do you hang on in your professional league? You be a good teammate. You be a good dude, even when you're struggling.
Especially in that game of baseball.
Right. All the unwritten rules.
162 games. If you're 24 and at the top of your game, just called up from AAA, you know, hot new arm, and you can do that. Oh man, that's your rookie mistake.
Mhm.
It's a veteran idiot move.
Like that Pirates guy that had his cell phone in his back pocket, slowly out he went into third base. I never forget that one.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys out there. I don't know how much thinking goes on before they do it.
You think about buying the Twins? They need it.
I ain't got that type of coin.
You should still buy the Twins, though.
I
Jay.
like
They
it.
need it.
I try to get some stake in there. I love the Twinkies. You got to start winning, though, man. We got to stop trying to be just average.
They're not trying, though. They're not trying to be more than average.
I know.
Their best players are always hurt. They need the Jay Foreman effect. Lessons in leadership.
I know. And they just reported spring training. Some of those vets are probably like, man, where am I going to be next? New ownership means new managers and all that stuff, and they're going to be a new team.
New hour comes your way next Thursday. Uncle
There it
Kev's
is.
in the building. We'll get that in next.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, Lincoln, if you're a diesel technician who's ready to earn up to $40 an hour and you're tired of working nights and weekends, listen up. Inland Truck Parts and Service is hiring experienced diesel technicians right here in Lincoln, and they're offering what every hardworking tech wants. Monday through Friday hours, no nights, no weekends, and paid training on advanced diesel technology. With 37 locations across 12 states, career advancement opportunities are endless. Start building towards your future and apply today at inlandtruck.com. That's inlandtruck.com. Or text APPLY to 785-369-1320.
Planet Fitness has everything you need to get stronger just around the corner, so you can give everything you've got. Whether you want to crush a few reps before class with our expanded strength equipment or sweat it out on your way home from work. With over 2,800 locations, there's a Planet Fitness close to you, and most are open 24 hours. Save when you join for just $1 down, $15 a month. Planet Fitness. We're all strong on this planet.
Join the club today and get your first month free. Just $1 down, $15 a month. No commitment. Deal ends Friday, February 13th.
See club for details.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Is your furnace ready for the cold winter? Call the pros at Bryant. No matter what make or model, Bryant will perform a thorough heating check, giving you peace of mind, or steps to ensure a warm home throughout the season. Bryant also offers free second opinion heat exchange checks. Before you spend thousands on a new furnace, let Bryant check it free. Anytime you need furnace service or repair, just call Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. 467-1111. Bryant, whatever it takes.
Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you. Whether it's your home, your family, or your future, Jack Russell has the proven experience to get the job done while developing authentic relationships with you. Give Jack a call today at 402-421-9100. Again, that's 402-421-9100. Or visit one of his 2 locations in Lincoln or Seward and learn how you can excel in the complicated world of insurance. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, a trusted and well-respected representative since 1999.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Most resolutions for the new year fail before January is even over. Why not resolve to just be a little bit cleaner in 2026? Nebraska Auto Detail is here for you. Now through March 30th, if you purchase a ceramic coating, you'll get a free interior detail. There's no better way to start your year than taking care of your car and decluttering the mess that it becomes so easily. Book your detail today at NebraskaAutoDetail.com or call Joe and the team at 402-601-5086.
Gentlemen, Valentine's Day is just around the corner. Don't be that guy running to the store for flowers and a card on your way home. Let Sartor Heyman Jewelers help you be a hero this Valentine's Day. We have great gifts in store now, and if you spend $129, we'll throw in a free bouquet of roses. Give her what she really wants this year and let us do the rest. Sartor Heyman Jewelers, your hometown jeweler since 1905. In Lincoln and Grand Island and online at sartorheyman.com.
Empire Netting and Fence delivers top quality netting and fence solutions. From major sports venues to backyard installs and everything in between, coast to coast. We take on tough jobs with grit, integrity, and a strong commitment to safety. Empire is growing, and we're hiring motivated people ready to grow with us. We build each other up, and we're building something big. Think you've got what it takes? Apply now at empire-fence.com. That's empire-fence.com.
Why wait until Friday to start your weekend?
Go ahead, start right now.
You're thirsty now, and 93.7 The Ticket is here to help you stock up.
Just in time for the weekend when I like to hit the clubs.
Time to broaden your horizons and try some new wine and beer. It's Thirsty Thursday with Kevin Meyer from Meyer's Cork and Bottle.
Starting with the click, the clack.
Well, we got two clicky clackies today. One of them, there's the other
There
one.
it is.
That
Little
one's
pop on that one.
just a little
bit.
tiny bit.
Welcome in, Kevin Meyer, Mike's Cork and Bottle.
Gentlemen, how we doing?
Good. How are you?
We've been talking about willing spring into existence. It's working. I'm really, really enjoying that. Being able to sit outside, did get out and play 9 holes on Monday.
How'd it go?
Solid. I, probably I would say mid-season form. It's always early season form, and then you fall apart in the middle of the year, and then you sort of figure it out at the end, and then just in time to hang up the clubs. So I'll probably not play as well as I did again for the rest of the year. But you know what? I'm not going pro, and so the fact of the matter is, you get to be outside in February, have a couple daddy pops with a buddy, and whack the ball around. That's a good day, no matter what.
We always ask you about the golf game. We also have to ask you about the grill game since it's been so nice.
Well, it's let's see, what do we got going on tonight? Last night we did lavash.
Oh, yeah,
which is like kind of a pretzel type pizza crust type thing. So grilled chicken breast, diced jalapeno, diced red onion. What else? Homemade red sauce from tomatoes from the garden. So yeah, it was legit. Nice. And tonight, I'm not sure what we're doing. I know I talked about leg quarters last week. My wife actually said, "Do you want leg quarters? Or you want, I'll go get them, or do chicken breast?" And I think we've done chicken breast like every night this week. So I'm like, let's get some leg quarters because I get off a little bit early doing Thirsty Thursday. We got time to do it.
There we go. 2 things from our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line before we dive in. Jay, Thomas and Lincoln wants to know, did you beat Nick in golf at back 9 last Friday?
What do you think?
What do you think, Tom?
Thomas and Lincoln, come on. That's never even a question. The shot, Kevin, this is the deal. Nick is ultra cocky. Really cocky. I don't know.
He started feeling himself last year.
He right?
Yeah. And the thing is that every baseball player in the world always has a bad slice when they go to play golf. And at one point, they think they've got it figured out. They start hitting the ball, maybe even a little bit of a draw. It's going to come back. Every time you think that you got it figured out, the golf gods go, "No, you don't.
Yep.
No, you don't."
That's what happened. But really what took his heart, though, it was about a 60-foot putt.
Jay housed it. It's Scotty Scheffler
It
style.
was like when Tiger Woods made that one at the Players Championship.
Was that the one that hung on the lip with the Nike logo?
No.
That was the Masters, wasn't it? Or was that US
That was the
Open?
Masters.
Yeah, Masters. Yeah.
When he says it's better than most.
Oh, yes.
Better
yes,
than most.
yeah.
And I gave him the Tiger pump. It was over after that.
You went Drano. Yeah. You just absolutely stole his mojo.
It was a good time out there.
Excellent. Those places are just awesome. I love the fact that it exists. There's multiple of them, but they're just so real and they're accurate. So that the putting part can be a little bit goofy, but hey, if it goes in, it goes in. I don't care where you are.
Back 9 golf, our friends just down 14th Street. Kevin Myers Cork and Bottle, just up 13th Street. Straight shot. Works perfectly.
That's right. So swing by on your way after playing Back Nine, and we'll have some libations for you.
What are we libating?
Stop by on your way there.
What are we libating on first, Uncle Kev?
So it's Valentine's Day Saturday. So the theme is we're doing products that you can do with chocolate. So the first one that we're going to do, I think we ought to do the wine first, actually.
Ooh, okay.
And this one is called Serena, and it is a semi-sparkling sweet red from Piedmont in the northern part of Italy. It's made of a grape called Bracchetto.
As in brick red?
As makes sense. I mean, Latin-based languages have the same base words. Yeah. So Bracchetto is
pretty good.
It's it's sweet. It's easy. It doesn't have, it's not boozy. I think they come in about 7%.
Yeah.
The beer's probably going to come in higher than that. But you can see why it would go well with chocolate. It's got that sort of raspberry-ish sort of flavor to it. The Italians have different words for different levels of sparkling. So you've heard of Asti Spumante. Spumante means full sparkling. So then there's a half sparkling, what they call frizzante. And this would be more what they call like a frizzantino. So just barely effervescent. It's just, it's sweet, it's chilled, could go well with chocolate. It's a good wine to give to someone that doesn't necessarily think that they like wine, because they can enjoy it, because like I said, it's not boozy and it's not dry.
And you don't get too hammered on Valentine's Day.
You gotta, save some energy.
That's what I'm saying. This is like a little Mr. T starter kit. This is good right here.
Mr. T.
Right?
Yeah, indeed. Well, there's kind of a funny backstory.
How funny a backstory are we talking?
As I take a sip. So back in the days of the Italian monarchy, when they had like kings and queens and princes and all this kind of stuff, there was a famous court jester of this region, and his name was Giovanni. And they called him Giovanni of the Jug because they basically required him to carry around a jug of this wine at all times because he was funnier if he was drunk. And so in order to apparently entertain the royalty, he needed some Bracchetto by his side at all times. So they called him Giovanni of the Jug, and this wine has survived ever since.
Wow. So is this one that you wanted to be chilled, right?
Yeah, I had this on ice on the way over.
I can imagine. I'm a pop guy, right? It just the slight effervescence, the bubbles, CO2 just doesn't hit the same when it's lukewarm. I think that the cold kind of makes it pop a little bit more.
Agreed. I think that if it does have some of that CO2, it probably needs to be chilled, whether it's red or white.
Yeah, makes sense to me. This is good. I know that you bring in wine like that obviously has alcohol in it, but this tastes like what my family would call kid wine. It's a sparkling grape juice. So like if I didn't know it was alcoholic, I could be convinced that it's not.
Right. And it's similar to like when the kid wine that we would have at Thanksgiving growing up was called Catawba. And it was a grape grown in New York, and it had this sort of taste. It was pink and sweet and kind of bubbly, kind of fizzy, and it was, made you feel cool. But this one actually does have booze in it, so you got to be careful. You got to, maintain the law of the land, as we say.
Parental supervision at the very least.
Indeed.
In your household. That is Serena, the wine. What are we drinking? A little darker on the beer front.
Yeah. So this is from Lupulin Brewing Company from Big Lake, Minnesota, the Fighting Jay Foreman area of the United States. And this is what they call Nilla Porter, which is a vanilla porter, but also has they call it double fold vanilla extract, and then also has some ground actual vanilla in it. And it's a porter, so it's dark, and naturally porters kind of have a little bit of a coffee-ish roastiness to it. Yeah. And so it's kind of like getting a vanilla latte, only in a beer form. And again, I think you could do something like this with chocolate for Valentine's Day.
This is a little breakfast beer, though. Well, this is the morning after beer.
Get your stuff ready to go beer, but like you could do it with chocolate. I guess that was the whole point.
Yeah, I get the dark chocolate vibes, right? Kind of that earthy sort of thing. I got the vanilla on the nose up front. Maybe it's because the wine didn't set it up as well. Got to have a little bit more maybe to get the vanilla, but the vanilla really hit my nose, and I immediately thought this tastes like if I was drinking like dark chocolate beer.
Indeed. And, it was kind of one of those 50-50 toss-ups. So would the beer throw the wine off, or would the wine throw the beer off? I figured let's do the wine first. Because the beer, I think, is actually more flavorful, more flavor intensive than the wine is. But it definitely has that distinct vanilla nose, this kind of roasted coffee notes on the back end. And like Jay said, I mean, it could be kind of a breakfast beer. And it's not
good.
It's not as boozy as I thought. These are 5 1/4, so no big deal. I mean, that's
how is the wine heavier than this?
It hard to say.
That's why
it's just, I think, the roasting of the malts. But you don't have to ferment it out to be 8, 9, 10% alcohol. You can apparently make a beer that's rich and without being super boozy. So out of Lupulin Brewing out of Big Lake, Minnesota.
This is what I think 3 times since about December we've had some of these darker stout porter ones. I would probably say this one's my favorite of all.
Yeah, I
Really?
was gonna say so too.
Yeah,
it's not. It seems like this one. I think we had other one with like a little bit of vanilla. It's not as thick. You know what I'm saying?
We had a couple of those that were like, they almost made your lips stick together.
The Canadian breakfast one, especially.
Yeah, they were, and almost too sweet. This one is, like you say, it's a little more, kind of like a vanilla latte, a little coffee-ish, without being overly sweet like some of those.
Not overly sweet parking people.
Yeah.
Holy cow! What are they doing tagging you, Uncle Kev? Do they even know who you are?
Do you know who I am? Man, so last week, I plugged the meter. We come do the show, and
you're a fine, upstanding citizen.
Well, absolutely, I'm law abiding, and I see the parking go guy behind me as I'm plugging the meter, and I don't really think twice about it. And there wasn't a single other car in that bank of stalls besides mine, and I think he drove around the block and just waited and waited and waited for that to go. Time expired, wrote me a ticket, and. So I texted Jay. I'm like, "Do you believe that?" He goes, "Well, I think you can actually protest it." So I got online, and there's a protest section, and so I clicked that, and they give you like 5 different reasons why you can protest, and the meter was broken, or I plugged the wrong one, or something along those lines. And one of them was the meeting ran late, and so I'll just be honest and click the meeting ran late, and then in the comment section, I said, just kind of begging your indulgence here. If I could give a little forgiveness this one time, it couldn't have been expired more than a couple of minutes. I did plug the meter, and it came back 2 days later, denied. You're going to pay it. And I'm like, I hope that guy wakes up with his face stapled to the floor, because that was ridiculous.
First of all, your first mistake was probably appealing to the humanity of parking people. Do they have any?
No. I don't think so. Ice cold.
Did parking ever get you on campus, Jay?
Oh yeah.
I got annihilated in college.
Oh,
did you?
My card got towed so many times.
Oh yeah.
It was like I had to take out extra student loans just to pay for my towing fees and parking ticket fees.
I remember one time I come out of the Hewitt and I had every intention of clearing up my ticket, but during the football season,
you're busy. You're locked in.
It was, I never forget. It was Thursday, business law class. I had to go all the way across campus. Get out about 9, so go through the locker room 9:30. Looking at when you get your car towed, you're like, dang, I know my car was right there.
Yeah, you have that period of denial.
I had to go back in, and you got quarters. You got to call and try to find out where it's at.
Yeah, we didn't have cell phones.
Turn it to 1 a.m. Because it takes them a while to get your car out of there.
Yeah, and then when you got to get a hold of a buddy that'll drive you there to pick it up and show your ID and alleviate all your parking tickets too. Yeah. Before they'll let you take your car. Yeah, that was brutal in college. Super brutal.
The only parking ticket I got in college was actually in the summer. I was helping out with a little broadcasting camp at Anderson, and the people running it said, "Oh yeah, just park there. It's fine. No big deal. They'll let it slide." It was a $40 ticket.
Oof.
$40 ticket for parking in this lot. And I'm like, I go to the church across the street. I could just park there for free, but I was in a hurry. I'm just gonna park here where they tell me to park. I did the whole appeal thing. Nothing.
No go.
Denied.
Not happening.
Denied.
Not happening.
Yep. Those people deserve a special place in Hades.
I did see just it must have been just last week going to Fred Hoiberg's presser. I know how long this truck had been there. There's a guy with the boot on it. I went in, see the truck, had the boot and everything, come back out. Poor kid sitting in his truck trying to figure out what to do.
Oh, man. Yeah. Oh, the boot would be brutal. I mean, that'd almost be worse than getting it towed. Well, maybe not. I don't know. At least they could come unlock the boot. But who knows how long you're camping out for hours and hours and hours waiting for somebody to show up to do that.
And they want a tip. They want a tip too, man. I mean, I've seen people on the internet like just drive off and break, but that'll mess up your like.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can't
No,
even drive in how is that possible?
yeah.
no, they would. I mean, I've seen them try to do it and just
yeah.
absolutely wreck their front end. But, I could just see the guy. What was that show? He's like, how about a little something, for the effort?
Yeah,
Caddyshack. He's like,
they always
it won't be money.
They always ask you for it. They don't ask you. They just keep looking at you. And he's like,
Oof.
all right, I'll give you $20.
Oof.
Where were your go-to parking spots in college?
I parked at Avery Hall a ton.
Ah,
because I had to. My first 2 years an architecture major, so I'd park over there. But again, you have these 3-hour labs, and you got a 45-minute parking spot, and it's like, what are you supposed to do? So yeah, or you could drop 15 hundo on a lot that's 6 miles away.
And he wants
That's
to
their
do
number one profitability, I think. Parking.
Well, parking and expensive meal plans.
Yeah.
I don't know what the food was like when you guys were there. It was fine. And to be fair, I did meet my wife in the dining hall, but that food was nothing to write home about. It was fine.
Oh, dude, we got Hot Pockets.
It wasn't very good.
No, it was terrible.
When I was in A-World a few times, because like we had the training table, but on Sundays we didn't have the training table like they do now. We had to eat in the dorms. It was garbage.
Yeah, no, straight up garbage. Yeah,
You got lucky, Austin. So that was hey, why don't you sit down? Let's have this fine dining.
You guys probably had subs and all kinds of stuff.
I had a roommate. One of my best friends was in his wedding. He was in my wedding. Everything. Ended up actually dropping out of college because
the food was so bad.
No, not because the food was so bad, but the food will tie in. He got so invested in playing Madden. I think in the first 7 weeks of school, he played through 13 seasons of Madden on franchise mode when the new one came out. But every day he would walk down to Husker Hoagies or Husker Heroes, get a sandwich, walk right back up and keep playing.
That's an expensive hobby right there.
I wonder what that phone call was like when he said, Mom and Dad, I'm coming home.
He's made something himself. He's a bus driver for LPS now. So
good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him.
I didn't drop out, but I had a roommate that had a Sega 64. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
N64?
It was a Sega.
Okay.
But it was, he had NHL hockey. I think it was like, God, it would have been 90. I don't know. Gosh. 80, 92, whatever. And by the time we were no longer roommates, like keep a running score, and it was like 492 to 386 and 12. You know, we had played a lot of Sega hockey. I can tell you that.
That is incredible. Absolutely incredible. Also incredible. Valentine's Day just around the corner. Uncle Kev.
Yes, sir.
What's going on at the store?
Well, we've got a whole bunch of things to go well with your Valentine's Day and to gift your Valentine. And these two things were specifically designed to go well with chocolate. So we've got Serena from the northern part of Italy and Nilla Porter from Lupulin Brewing Company out of Big Lake, Minnesota.
Do you recommend that wine be the entire plan or a complement to the plan?
To the plan?
The Valentine's Day plan.
Oh,
the plan.
The plan.
The plan.
That plan.
Is wine the plan or is wine a part of the plan?
I think you gotta do more. It's part of the plan. And I'm gonna give you a little advice from your old Uncle Kev. Now
listen close, gather around the campfire.
So here's the number one thing I've learned is that women, more than anything else, they want your time. And if it's not physical time, it's mental time. So even if you don't have the opportunity to be around them, they want to know that they've at least occupied your time mentally. And so by making it part of the plan, having a more complex thing that's multifaceted, that means that you put the time and the thought and the effort into it. And that's what they're going to appreciate the most.
I am headed to Phoenix tomorrow. Obviously, Valentine's Day is Saturday.
Now I'm at home with two kids.
I'm at home with two kids. Okay.
Grandma and Grandpa helping out, though.
Absolutely. Took the wife out last weekend.
Smart.
Okay? Did it ahead of time, which was great. Shout out to wifey for being available and mom and dad for watching the two little ones. The availability part, right? The mental time thing. Duke Carolina was on, and I sat facing away from the TV.
That's some discipline right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I guarantee she appreciated it. It would have ruined the night if you were locked in on the TV instead of her.
Here's the problem. I can see it in the reflection. Well, I was sneak glances out the window a little bit.
You gotta, it's life's a delicate balance too.
It is. Gus Mohawk, Kevin, wants to know, if my fiance likes dark chocolate, which of these would go good with dark chocolate or anything else that would pair well with it?
I think either one. I think it depends on what her tastes are. So if she's a beer fan, I think go with the beer. I think if she's like a sweeter wine fan, go with the wine, or you could always do both and do the old Pepsi challenge and see what you like the best.
There we go. Did you like that Super Bowl commercial with the Coke Bear picking the Pepsi?
I don't think I paid attention.
Oh, you didn't pay attention to the Super Bowl, Kev?
Well, I mean, it was so nice outside, and my son came home. Nice. So we were sitting out on the deck grilling wings, just listening to music, kind of watching the TV through the window and having some wine and some beer. And so that to me was more fun than the Super Bowl.
Westy chimes in and says, yeah, guess what, Austin? I was absolutely ignoring my wife for that Carolina Duke game. Man.
Well, but yours was a trade-off for this weekend. He's still got a chance to make it up.
Indeed. So, Westy, make it up. You can do so by stopping by Myers Cork and Bottle, 13th and South. Uncle Kev, thanks as always.
Appreciate you, fellas.
We'll go to break. Evan Blaine of the Omaha World Herald with us on the other side.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Planet Fitness has everything you need to get stronger just around the corner, so you can give everything you've got. Whether you want to crush a few reps before class with our expanded strength equipment or sweat it out on your way home from work. With over 2,800 locations, there's a Planet Fitness close to you, and most are open 24 hours. Save when you join for just $1 down, $15 a month. Planet Fitness. We're all strong on this planet.
Join the club today and get your first month free. Just $1 down, $15 a month. No commitment. Deal ends Friday, February 13th.
See club for details.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
For remote starters, audio upgrades, and more, there's only one place to go. Auto Sounds of Lincoln at 48th and O.
Gentlemen, Valentine's Day is just around the corner. Don't be that guy running to the store for flowers and a card on your way home. Let Sartor Heyman Jewelers help you be a hero this Valentine's Day. We have great gifts in store now, and if you spend $129, we'll throw in a free bouquet of roses. Give her what she really wants this year and let us do the rest. Sartor Heyman Jewelers, your hometown jeweler since 1905. In Lincoln and Grand Island and online at sartorheyman.com.
A new year means it's time to try new things. If you haven't tried Führer's cheese spread yet, the time is now. For the days you don't want to go to the gym, don't worry. Führer's cheese spread is there to cheer you up. And for the days you do get to the gym, why not celebrate when you get back with the best dip around? Get to your local grocery store today and load up on Führer's cheese spread. No event or party is complete without it on your table.
A membership with John Henry's will fast-track you to front-of-the-line service, seasonal tune-ups, and far fewer unexpected moments. That means no breakdowns, no waiting on a call, and no nonsense. It's consistent care that prevents small issues from turning into big bills. Join the Comfort Club and get VIP treatment 365 days a year with 24-hour priority response, member-only discounts, and peace of mind on your home's most expensive systems. Call John Henry's.
John Henry's Plumbing, heating and
and electrical.
When it comes to keeping your equipment running, you've got options at Landmark Implement.
Whether you need premium John Deere parts or a more economical solution, A&I Parts from Landmark deliver the dependable performance you can count on with cost savings up to 40%. From filters and bearings to belts and everyday repairs, A&I Parts are built to work as hard as you do while helping stretch your budget further. Stop by your local Landmark Implement parts counter today or shop online anytime at shop.deere.com and experience the Landmark difference.
Looking to get a room downtown or near South Lincoln? Abe Lincoln would tell you no to the Ford Theater and yes to Lincoln Hotel. Save up to 40% off downtown Lincoln prices with a nice clean room and comfortable stay. Lincoln Hotel is locally owned and offers a day pass to the city's largest locally owned gym, Good Life Fitness. Long-term stays are available. You can learn more about pricing and book your Lincoln Hotel stay today at staylnk.com or call 402-600-0565. That's staylnk.com or call 402-600-0565.
Let's fly. Your next trip starts at Lincoln Airport with American Airlines. Now flying nonstop service to Dallas, Fort Worth, and Chicago. American Airlines connects Lincoln to major hubs and destinations around the globe. Wherever you're headed, LNK gets you there with new nonstop flights on American Airlines.
Now boarding.
Convenient, fast, and stress-free. Book your next flight at LincolnAirport.com. LNK, make flying easy.
Hey, Nebraska, this is your moment. Love Nebraska is already making noise on the court, but they're still missing one thing, a nickname. That's where you come in. Love Nebraska is giving fans the chance to submit the team's official nickname. Fans will then vote on the finalists later this season. Head to lovbneb.com/nameyourteam to submit your nickname and get in the game. Submissions end on February 22nd. Name your team, shape the legacy.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right. Welcome back in. It is Old School. Austin Orman, Jay Foreman with you. It's 4:30, not on a Wednesday. A little occupied yesterday, but we are here on a Thursday. Big thanks to our guest on our Allo Fiber VIP line, Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald, for being flexible. Wanted to make sure to get Evan on ahead of the Nebraska baseball season. But Evan, before we get into Nebraska baseball, obviously Husker softball doing pretty well as well. The football team, and there's some football adjacent drama going on as well. We can get that out of the way. What was your initial reaction to everything that came out with the release of Bill Moose's book? And now that we're a few days down the road, how do you kind of react to it and read into everything that the Bill Moose was talking about in his new memoir?
It was enlightening, and not in like an abstract sense either. I thought that was maybe the most fascinating part, was just all the granular detail of the Bill Moose accounts. And he wrote it himself. Like, this wasn't any secondhand stuff. These were all things he put out there. I think probably the most interesting is just a lot of the palatial intrigue, whether that was Regent Pillen at the time telling him that he couldn't hire Dana Altman as men's basketball coach, or Ronnie Green as the chancellor informing the sitting AD that he had extended Scott Frost and his contract, or Hank Bounds as the system president telling Moose in 2018 he didn't need to go to the Michigan game because Bounds would be there. So just the level of dysfunction and lack of alignment from the administrators and the folks overseeing things at that time, it was pretty eye-opening. I think it's a great example of what you don't want when you talk about like a coach or an AD looking for a new situation. You want guys pulling in that same direction, and that certainly wasn't the case. You look at Bill Moose exploring a potential return to the Big 12 for Nebraska, which in hindsight would have been a disaster, financially, academically, competitively, as it turned out, with Oklahoma and Texas moving on to the SEC shortly thereafter. So just a lot of really fascinating stuff. I think my mind kept going back to a lot of the what ifs. What if Nebraska hired Chip Kelly? What if they hired Dana Altman? What if they left the Big Ten out of the frustration that came from the pandemic and the season that almost didn't happen? So hopefully, like the lesson now is, again, seeing the value of being vertically aligned and what that can look like and what not to do. But certainly, I think it does color in a little bit more of just about how divided Nebraska was at that time. And not to say that everything's fixed now, but the power structure, the egos, everything that went into that era, it's probably less of a surprise than it was before that the on-field results didn't end up being there either.
And I think Evan, Husker fans, especially on the football side, would say, it's been a pretty disastrous, run for Nebraska over the better part of the last 10 years, and certainly pointing up somewhat in the right direction right now. But reading all of that and hearing you just reiterate all those things that were on the precipice of going bad or worse, or as dysfunctional as it's been, the results could have been so much worse for Nebraska if they were, looking to hire another head coach now, if Dana Altman was on his way out the door and they didn't have Fred Hoiberg in place, what you would presume would be, the long haul. If Nebraska had gone back to the Big 12 and was struggling financially, for as dire as things, either are or seem, I think, to Husker fans, there's a world that Bill Moos is detailing where things could have been so much worse.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The Big 12 part, to me, is the obvious headliner there, like in terms of, if they had gone back to the Big 12 at that time, again, right before Oklahoma and Texas decided to bolt for the SEC, suddenly you're on the outside looking in as the Big 10 expands, as it becomes the autonomous two with the SEC and the Big 10, and what you gain in, being a little bit more competitive in football and having fans be able to drive to more games. You lose in academic standing, you lose in tens of millions of dollars in television revenue, you lose in the clearest pathway to the college football playoff and national relevance. So that was a big one. The Chip Kelly one, to me, was interesting. I don't know. It's all speculation, but I don't know how different that era would have been. Like, you look at Chip Kelly ends up at UCLA and eventually steps down from that job as the NIL transfer era really takes off, and he just wants to coach ball. So he goes and does it at Ohio State and now at Northwestern. So I wonder if something similar would have happened if he ended up at Nebraska, where that era arrives and he just says, this CEO role isn't for me. I want to, call plays. So I wonder about that. And then the Altman thing, I feel like if he had been hired those first 2 or 3 years at Nebraska, probably would have been smoother than what they saw under Fred Hoiberg, who, brought in a recruiter who had no interest in recruiting locally, and things cratered pretty early on. Maybe the highs that Nebraska basketball is enjoying right now wouldn't be quite as high potentially. But my hot take on that situation is I think Nebraska may have won an NCAA tournament game by now if it had been Dana Altman in his year 6 or 7 at this point, just given what he did at Creighton and obviously taken Oregon to a Final Four as well. So a lot of really interesting hypotheticals and what ifs, but there's no doubt it could have been a lot worse even than it ended up turning out.
Yeah, I don't think that's a hot take at all with the Dana Altman thing. I think a lot of people would have foreseen that happening. The only other thing on that then, Evan, is you have journalistic background, and I claimed to be a journalist back in the day in some way, shape, or form in my nascent daily Nebraskan days. But this is the Bill Moos side of the story, right? It's easy to say this is absolutely what happened. We haven't heard anything from a Scott Frost or a Hank Bounds or a Ronnie Green, even though Governor Pillen hasn't responded in that way. Not that I expected them to, but you would think if there were any mischaracterizations that came out, especially in some of the early access and reporting, we would have heard something from one of those parties. The fact that we haven't maybe lends a little bit of credence to just how true what Bill Moos is writing is, even if it's from just his perspective.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. The Big 12 part, nobody's refuted. At that time, there had been rumblings that might occur. Not that I don't think there was ever a sense that it would really take off, just because there wasn't broad support within the university or the athletic department. But I think that part you could validate back in that time. You mentioned Governor Pillen. He screenshotted a picture of the Nebraska-Oregon basketball game from this year as an acknowledgement, I think, of that Altman account. Maybe as a nod to where Nebraska is now compared to where Altman and the Ducks are at this very moment. I'm not sure it was the dunk that it was intended to be, but it was, I think, an acknowledgement or a tacit confirmation that part was true. And then, we haven't heard from Hank Bounds or Ronnie Green at this point, but I do think you probably would have if something were grossly off or misinformed. And it certainly seems like even if maybe every minor detail wasn't quite true, certainly the spirit of the situation was pretty well reflected in that book.
With us on our Aloe Fiber VIP line, it's Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald, writing a lot about Husker football. Also Husker baseball. Season's not even right around the corner. It's at the doorstep. Nebraska will have its first game coming up tomorrow night out in the desert in Scottsdale. Evan, Nebraska picked 4th in the Big Ten preseason poll behind 3 West Coast teams. You get UCLA on top, preseason number 1 in the Big Ten and nationally. You get USC and Oregon also preceding Nebraska in those voters' minds. Do you think that's kind of the vision that the Big Ten had in improving its baseball reputation, was getting those West Coast schools, especially those 3, to lead the way, and then having, 1 or 2, maybe 3, kind of flagship programs scattered across the Great Lakes in the Midwest?
Well, I think ideally, first of all, let's be clear, they don't bring in those teams with baseball in mind. It was obviously a football move, but yeah, like the byproduct of it ideally would be that those programs would raise the standard within the league. I think that was the hope. I mean, you go back 15 years and the Big Ten was a 1 and 2 bid league, and at its best was a 5 bid league back in 2019, but without much in the way of national reputation. Now you certainly have that. UCLA, number 1 national team by a lot of outlets, College World Series qualifier last year, clear favorite. Oregon hosted a regional. USC got back in the mix, and they're one of college baseball's, most historic brands in terms of what they did back in the 70s and early 2000s. So they do bring an element of credibility that the league probably didn't have. What you don't want is the Big Ten to just become sort of Pac-12 light, where it's just those 3 teams. And it was almost just those 3 teams had Nebraska not won the Big Ten tournament last year. So, I think you look at teams like Penn State as a group that could potentially get back in the mix this year. Indiana is there. Iowa has been a player. Michigan was a CWS finalist less than a decade ago. So you do have other schools that can do it. Illinois has had its moments at times, but it's going to take, I think, more buy-in from some of those legacy teams to catch up to those West Coast squads. I mean, Oregon and UCLA are pulling in top 25 classes and are investing in baseball in ways that a lot of the other schools in the league haven't been. So I think that's one of the more fascinating storylines of the league this year is this still just going to be kind of another West Coast takeover kind of season, or do you see some of those other more traditional names start to rise up and maybe make the Big Ten a little bit more, I guess, in relation to its power conference status? I mean, you see it in other sports. It hasn't translated in baseball in large part because of the cold weather factor, but the resources are certainly there, and it'll be interesting to see if the presence of those West Coast schools do sort of buoy what everyone else wants to do in terms of their investment.
It's not everything, Evan, but I was looking at least those other top 3 teams' schedules from the West Coast. And UCLA will head down to Dallas, Arlington, and a similar, maybe the same kind of continuation of the invitational that Nebraska will, not this weekend, but next weekend. But outside of that, USC doesn't have a multi-team event of that caliber. I don't think Oregon does either. Maybe USC has a couple kind of headlining games in there. But what does it mean that, these other, top schools in the Big Ten, certainly in the top 6, aren't getting invites to these types of events where Nebraska continues to?
Yeah, I mean, part of it's being invited, part of it's a desire to play in there. Like, I think if those schools that you mentioned really wanted to compete in those events, that they would be able to. You look at a school like Nebraska, you have to get in those marquee games early on, in part because the Big Ten doesn't do you a ton of favors in terms of strength of schedule, but then also I haven't looked closely, but I'll bet you if you look at Oregon and UCLA and USC's midweek games, they're going to be pretty stout just because there are so many quality opponents within, driving distance or a chance to play on a Tuesday or Wednesday. Nebraska's always been more limited geographically that's why they're playing Creighton on the weekdays. They played Summit League schools pretty consistently through the years, although that's curbing a little bit more in favor of Kansas and Kansas State. But I think Nebraska's learned that you have to schedule nationally and to boost that RPI, because if you don't have a strength of schedule in the non-con that's competitive, then you can win 35 games or 40 games and it might not matter. Just look no further than Iowa a year ago. They were in the mix to win the regular season Big Ten title last year. And had they not won the auto bid from the tournament, they may not have gotten into the postseason at all. So I think that's what Nebraska's recognized. It's what adds urgency to these early weekends. And it's if you're a warmer school like those on the West Coast, you have a little bit more of a luxury where you don't have to schedule maybe quite as hard, quite as early.
The rotation for Nebraska baseball this weekend, Evan, on the Hill, 4 righties: Ty Horn, Carson Yasa, Cooper Katsky, and Gavin Blackowitz. Talked a little bit about all those guys here over the last month or so. Is it just a roster quirk that Nebraska doesn't have any lefties that it wanted to go to in the opening weekend, or do you think that that's an issue that Nebraska doesn't have, reliable left-handed starting pitching, at least ready to go this early in the season?
Yeah, it's potentially an issue. We'll have to see how some of those guys play out. The one who was in the mix to be a starter was Colin Novacek, and he's going to, I guess, be long relief for maybe a second midweek option behind Gavin Blackowitz. Grant Clevenger is a guy for the last couple of years Nebraska's tried to get going. They like his measurables and metrics, and it just hasn't always translated consistently into games. They feel like this could be the year for him. Jalen Worthley's had his moments. They brought in a couple, newcomers who they feel like could be kind of single out or maybe, lefty specialist, lefty matchup type of guys. But it is something to watch, I think, because ideally you're setting a rotation where you're giving an opponent all kinds of different looks, whether that's right side, left side. Last year they were able to do kind of, velocity power type pitchers from Ty Horn. And then they went to Will Walsh, who was more of an off speed breaking pitch kind of guy. So I think they have a little bit of that still where, if you might be seeing Carson Yasa throwing 97 one day and then Cooper Katsky giving you a little bit more, of a softer look the next day potentially. So we'll have to see how that shakes out, but it does seem like maybe that lack of a dominant left-hander as a starter is something to watch, and I think it does add maybe a little bit more intrigue then to who they can trust on the left side out of the bullpen too.
The other part about that lefty thing is there's not even that guy that you would say would step up into that innings eater role, right? Not a Kyle Perry, not a Jackson Brockett. A name you didn't mention in there, Evan, was Caleb Clark. What does that say about maybe his lack of development that wasn't really even in the conversation? In fact, you just kind of had to skip over it in that conversation.
Yeah, I probably should have mentioned him. He's an interesting guy. He's been a weekend starter for them out of the chute the last couple of years and hasn't been able to hold the job. Like his strength has been as a team chemistry guy, and by all accounts is just someone who's great to have as a teammate and as a person. And the results just haven't necessarily been there to this point. They feel like they could be. So you want to see that kind of development in a guy who's been in the program for a few years, a guy who's worked with Rob Childress to be able to better command and throw quality strikes and things like that. And again, Clevenger really is in the same conversation. Like he's been a guy that Nebraska's pointed to similar to Clark these last couple of years, and it just hasn't worked out. So those are guys in the first 3 weeks, 4 weeks, especially, there's going to be a moment where they're in a jam and they're going to turn to one of those guys, and we'll see if they can come through. And if they can, that's a major boost to what the bullpen can do. I mentioned Novacek, that's a guy I think could give you 2 or 3 innings in relief potentially based on what he does. as well. But that's part of the fascination, I think, of this first month, especially, Austin, and that's just college baseball, is like you see what these guys do behind the scenes. You see what the numbers say about their spin rate and their velocity, but now you're going up against opponents who are scouting you, who are talented, especially early on. And so I think you're going to find out quickly, who's in the circle of trust and maybe who has a little more work to do.
Last thing on the pitching staff before one on the lineup, Evan. Kevin Monell, what's maybe your preseason confidence level in him, your expectations for what he looks like in the back of that bullpen after those bridge guys that we've been talking about?
Yeah, I mean, he has the potential to be a lockdown closer for Nebraska. He looked dominant in fall ball. He's got the sinker slider combination. I asked Jet Buck, the second baseman, this week, like which pitcher had given him the most fits this offseason. He didn't hesitate. He's like, yeah, it's Monell. The arm slot, the movement on the pitches. He's got a little bit of that fiery, competitive personality that kind of reminds you a little bit of maybe Brett Sears from a couple of years ago, or some of their guys who really get caught up in the moment in a good way, like that you want from a stopper. So interesting guy. I mean, he was at Mississippi State last year. He's a D1 bounce back guy previously, was at the JUCO level too. And I think Nebraska certainly felt like that they could unlock something in him out of the portal. And he's pretty much showed it consistently from fall ball through now. And so, if your starter's giving you 6 and Monell can lock down the 9th, potentially 2 innings, like suddenly you feel like you're shortening the game pretty well. I think they feel like they've got, a guy they can really trust late in Kevin Monell.
Then on the lineup, Evan, when it comes to constructing that, who are some of the role players or kind of X factor glue guy type of players that you think Nebraska is going to look to lengthen the lineup, especially here, beyond the big names and early in the season?
Yeah, I think how the outfield shakes out will be interesting. Like you kind of have a sense that the starters will be Devin Nunez, who moves out there, Max Butenbach, Will Jeske, but it feels like a group that somebody else is going to force their way into the lineup. Maybe that's Mac Moyer, son of former MLB pitcher Jamie Moyer. He's a center fielder, guy who knows the game well. Maybe that's Nico Newhan, who's a JUCO addition, who's got a lot of power. Preston Freeman's another guy that they feel like is a big stick who could be out there. So that's kind of your 2 deep there. And it just kind of feels like, again, you see it every year where you have a starting lineup and then somebody gets an opportunity and takes it and runs with it. And so I feel like a guy like Newhan or Moyer or Freeman could potentially be those guys to come in. It's probably a little bit more set on the infield. I mean, certainly on the left side with Overbeek and Carey, that's pretty set. Buck is a senior, Sanderson, and then as we've talked about here before too, at catcher Jeter Worthley is going to be that guy. But his backup is a guy named Mike Miller, who they feel like can also play the outfield too. So maybe that's somebody else who forces his way into the conversation and into more plate appearances based on how he does earlier in the year. So it does feel like they have maybe more outs in terms of guys who could realistically lengthen that lineup than maybe what they've had in some past years.
And then around the infield, probably thinking Overbeek / Stokes, Carey, Buck, and Sanderson on the dirt.
Yeah, I'd put Stokes as kind of the ultimate utility man. Like if any of those guys need a rest or get hurt or whatever, I think, Stokes could pretty much go in anywhere there. And then I think Cole Kitchens would be the other guy we haven't mentioned who could play some first base. Probably will do some more DHing, kind of in the Tyler Stone mold a little bit as a power guy that they maybe feel like could play a big part as a run producer too.
We know Ty Horn's getting the ball. We're probably about 24 hours, maybe a little less than, from getting that first lineup of the season. Covering it all for the Omaha World Herald. Talking about it here on usually Wednesdays, but 4:30. Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. Evan, thanks as always for your time. Thanks for bumping back a day. Looking forward to your coverage over the weekend, and we'll talk next week.
Thanks, Austin. See ya.
Evan Bland, Omaha World Herald, joining us on our Allo Fiber VIP line. Allo Fiber is where they understand the importance of exceptional service with local heart. Short one to wrap up hour 2, full hour 3 of Old School on the way momentarily.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Looking to get a room downtown or near South Lincoln? Abe Lincoln would tell you no to the Ford Theater and yes to Lincoln Hotel. Save up to 40% off downtown Lincoln prices with a nice clean room and comfortable stay. Lincoln Hotel is locally owned and offers a day pass to the city's largest locally owned gym, Good Life Fitness. Long-term stays are available. You can learn more about pricing and book your Lincoln Hotel stay today at staylnk.com or call 402-600-0565. That's staylnk.com or call 402-600-0565.
Planet Fitness has everything you need to get stronger just around the corner, so you can give everything you've got. Whether you want to crush a few reps before class with our expanded strength equipment or sweat it out on your way home from work. With over 2,800 locations, there's a Planet Fitness close to you, and most are open 24 hours. Save when you join for just $1 down, $15 a month. Planet Fitness. We're all strong on this planet.
Join the club today and get your first month free. Just $1 down, $15 a month. No commitment. Deal ends Friday, February 13th.
See club for details.
Gentlemen, Valentine's Day is just around the corner. Don't be that guy running to the store for flowers and a card on your way home. Let Sartor Heyman Jewelers help you be a hero this Valentine's Day. We have great gifts in store now, and if you spend $129, we'll throw in a free bouquet of roses. Give her what she really wants this year and let us do the rest. Sartor Heyman Jewelers, your hometown jeweler since 1905. In Lincoln and Grand Island and online at sartorheyman.com.
Let's fly. Your next trip starts at Lincoln Airport with American Airlines. Now flying nonstop service to Dallas, Fort Worth, and Chicago. American Airlines connects Lincoln to major hubs and destinations around the globe. Wherever you're headed, LNK gets you there with new nonstop flights on American Airlines.
Now boarding.
Convenient, fast, and stress-free. Book your next flight at LincolnAirport.com. LNK, make flying easy.
When it comes to keeping your equipment running, you've got options at Landmark Implement. Whether you need premium John Deere parts or a more economical solution, A&I Parts from Landmark deliver the dependable performance you can count on with cost savings up to 40%. From filters and bearings to belts and everyday repairs, A&I Parts are built to work as hard as you do while helping stretch your budget further. Stop by your local Landmark Implement parts counter today or shop online anytime at shop.deere.com and experience the Landmark difference.
Empire Netting and Fence delivers top quality netting and fence solutions. From major sports venues to backyard installs and everything in between, coast to coast. We take on tough jobs with grit, integrity, and a strong commitment to safety. Empire is growing, and we're hiring motivated people ready to grow with us. We build each other up, and we're building something big. Think you've got what it takes? Apply now at empire-fence.com. That's empire-fence.com.
A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Bundle up, bring your crew, and make this winter one for the books with Bachfest on Saturday, February 21st at Beer House. Enjoy winter brews that will tangle with your taste buds, polka dancing, games like Hammerschlagen and Stein Stamina, and more. Bach beer will be flowing, and sausages and pretzels will be available for purchase. Doors open at 11 a.m. and the party goes outside until 6 p.m. before moving inside. VIP tickets are $75, but just $10 gets you in the door. Buy your tickets today at beerhousene.com for Bachfest on Saturday, February 21st.
Hey, Nebraska, this is your moment. Love Nebraska is already making noise on the court, but they're still missing one thing, a nickname. That's where you come in. Love Nebraska is giving fans the chance to submit the team's official nickname. Fans will then vote on the finalists later this season. Head to lovbneb.com/nameyourteam to submit your nickname and get in the game. Submissions end on February 22nd. Name your team, shape the legacy.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back in. It is Old School. Austin Orman and Jay Foreman with you. Old School, as always, brought to you by the good folks at Graham Tire Company of Lincoln. This segment brought to you by Love Volleyball Nebraska. You've heard Nick's voice on the commercial telling you got about 10 days to help Love Volleyball Nebraska pick their team nickname, lovbneb.com, to help with that and get your tickets. Jay, a little bit of a surprise move in the NFL. New England Patriots have a defensive coordinator opening all of a sudden. They're moving Terrell Williams into a high-ranking role on Mike Vrabel's staff. Of course, Williams missed the 2025 season, got diagnosed with prostate cancer, was fighting that.
Yeah.
So their linebackers coach, Zach Coors, served as the play caller in his absence. Weird one, right? Not one you see very often. Obviously, I wish Coach Williams the best. Seems like he's, he just got cleared to return, so that's good. But fresh off a Super Bowl appearance and a really good defense, there's an open coordinator position. Do you think that's as simple as just promote Coor since he's familiar and did it, or is that one you'd maybe look, outside the house for?
No, I think you just promote him, and then obviously, the original coordinator go to like a assistant head coach, and he's probably still in recovery. He's probably hopefully out of the weeds right now.
Yeah,
and he could kind of be that second in command, for Vrabel that will oversee it. Because I guess the plan is this, or potential could be this. One more good year for Coor is he's going to be gone into potentially the head coaching pool. Then you already have the original coordinator there. It's kind of like how they did with Gerard Mayo. Now, obviously, Vrabel's not going anywhere, but there's a succession plan based on success of this year and then obviously in the future.
The ESPN article says when Vrabel was hired as Patriots head coach, he targeted Terrell Williams for the job, citing his knack for making meaningful connections with players as especially valuable. And here's another part, Jay. Williams had been with Vrabel. He was a defensive line coach on his staff in Tennessee. There's that continuity we talk about when you have these programs or these teams that are down and out, coaches that bring their coaches that have had success before. That's when you're seeing a lot of those quick turnarounds like the Patriots had this year.
Yeah, and you're seeing the ability to come in and implement your program in every level.
Yeah.
Obviously connecting with the players is something Vrabel's always been able to do. He's a former player. So that lets you know that former players can coach. He's worked his way up. He's been successful, but then he has an eye for talent as well, obviously on the football field, but in the coaching realms as well. And so, the really good coaches always have plans to build coaches up, obviously build them up to where they can potentially be head coaches, but then I'll also have a backup plan there because you don't want any drop off. Maybe he learned that from Bill Belichick. Maybe he learned it from like Urban Meyer when he was there, even though Urban Meyer forgot his name when he was the head coach at Jacksonville. But I think it's a smart plan. You got two defensive coordinators there. Mike Vrabel's a defensive guy. He's called plays. So, the lines of communications there are really, really clear. That's the part of success. You bring guys along that you know and trust, but also that are really good coaches and good people. I think they're good people first, which makes them good coaches. And then that's why they keep them around. Because if one of those things aren't good, they wouldn't be there.
The best people I know are the ones that listen to Old School with Foreman and Norman. Hey, guess what? Got another hour. Keep your thoughts coming, 402-464-5685. He's Jay. I'm Austin. Final hour of the show. Next.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Let's fly. Your next trip starts at Lincoln Airport with American Airlines. Now flying nonstop service to Dallas, Fort Worth, and Chicago. American Airlines connects Lincoln to major hubs and destinations around the globe. Wherever you're headed, LNK gets you there with new nonstop flights on American Airlines.
Now boarding.
Convenient, fast, and stress-free. Book your next flight at LincolnAirport.com. LNK, make flying easy.
Hey, Nebraska, this is your moment. Love Nebraska is already making noise on the court, but they're still missing one thing, a nickname. That's where you come in. Love Nebraska is giving fans the chance to submit the team's official nickname. Fans will then vote on the finalists later this season. Head to lovebneb.com/nameyourteam to submit your nickname and get in the game. Submissions end on February 22nd. Name your team, shape the legacy.
Bundle up, bring your crew, and make this winter one for the books with Bachfest on Saturday, February 21st at Beer House. Enjoy winter brews that will tangle with your taste buds, polka dancing, games like Hammerschlagen and Stein Stamina, and more. Bach beer will be flowing, and sausages and pretzels will be available for purchase. Doors open at 11 a.m. and the party goes outside until 6 p.m. before moving inside. VIP tickets are $75, but just $10 gets you in the door. Buy your tickets today at beerhousene.com for Bachfest on Saturday, February 21st.
Empire Netting and Fence delivers top quality netting and fence solutions. From major sports venues to backyard installs and everything in between, coast to coast. We take on tough jobs with grit, integrity, and a strong commitment to safety. Empire is growing, and we're hiring motivated people ready to grow with us. We build each other up, and we're building something big. Think you've got what it takes? Apply now at empire-fence.com. That's empire-fence.com.
In a world where Wi-Fi battles rage and bandwidth is never enough, one family dares to connect it all. Work from home, influence all day, stream all night, and game to win. Deadlines, downloads, and dance-offs, all happening under one roof, flawlessly. Can your internet provider do that? Fiber fuel your household at allofiber.com/all-in.
MWR, a local company of Lincoln, is proud to announce they are able to offer their own post-frame building packages in metal to anyone desiring a building, whether you're a contractor or a DIYer. They can install your building as always, and they offer multiple different rib profiles and loads of color options, including the wood grain metal at great competitive prices. You can inquire at mwrbuildingandfence.com or just draw your desired building and submit it in their contact us page, and they'll get back to you. Call MWR today at 402-540-8966.
Get inspired at the 54th Annual Home and Garden Show, February 13th through the 15th at Sandhills Global Event Center in Lincoln. $10 admission. Let the experts bring your home projects to life. Learn more at hbal.org.
For remote starters, audio upgrades, and more, there's only one place to go. Auto Sounds of Lincoln at 48th and O.
Coming at you live from the heart of downtown Lincoln. This is Old School with Foreman and Orman. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman.
Here's Troy Detmer dropping straight back in the pocket. Rifles a pass. It was tipped. It's picked off by Foreman. He's at the 15, 10, 5. He'll score! Foreman got it, and it's touchdown Huskers.
Black shirts answer the call one more time.
And Austin Orman. Old School with Foreman and Orman is sponsored by Graham Tire Company of Lincoln. Your tire store next door with 4 Lincoln locations. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
What up, we're back. Jay Foreman, Austin Orman, hour 3, going by quick on this beautiful Thursday. Almost, I guess I would say pre-summer day, but obviously a great. Spring is obviously springing right now. We don't need any mishaps, but 48 hours away from the Huskers trying to get back on the right track, and obviously a lot still going on with Nebraska football, and obviously winter conditioning, some recruiting, as you obviously more peer recruiting, as I think Trey Taylor's heard that probably every week, right? Still waiting, efforting.
Come on, Trey.
As we say, efforting.
Right?
We
We know you saw the tweet.
Yeah. You know you're listening out there somewhere. But the big news of the week that we didn't get to talk about, or at least me and Austin, were 2 things. Obviously, Nebraska lost a home game against Purdue or basketball. Obviously, the tale of two halves, and obviously a great effort to come back in the second half. But more importantly, my man Bill Moose is dropping straight up dimes.
Woo!
And
Diming people out is what he's doing.
The more, and it's not that you're trying to beat a dead horse. It's just interesting how, he was on early break, and it was just very, very matter of fact that if you ever met Bill Moose, he's, pretty much as old school as you're going to get. He's going to deal with you straight up and kind of do his thing and try to get it done the best of his abilities. Obviously the quotes and obviously the interview to go with it when he was on early break was, stuff you always wonder about. I think maybe the intrigue comes from, look, I think more his tenure is for sure. How he got here, obviously being a longtime athletic director and having success at different places, coming essentially from Montana off the ranch to Nebraska. And obviously his first 3 months, he was on every single media outlet and stuff like that. It was a really engaging personality, but I took a ton of it. He knows how to get business done. He has a lot of friends in the whether they're conference commissioners or just
like Bob Bowlesby, for example,
right? Decision makers that he's had long relationships with, and you could start with and coincided with that. What my point is that there's always going to be intrigue into the Scott Frost era because of the whirlwind he came in with and the whirlwind that he left with, and nobody could ever figure out why it didn't work. Well, you got a big chunk of information right there from Bill Moose, whereas essentially, all these things happen all the time where, a coach is coaching for a present university and they accidentally run into each other in a certain place. And, it's all set up by a third party, in this case, Matt Davidson, who's, Scott's best friend. I'm assuming they're still best friends or whatever. And Bill Moose is traveling with his wife, of course, and, it's really smart on his part. Sometimes you have your better half or just somebody that's not necessarily directly associated in the athletic department. Could be a family member or just a confidant because they get a better read on people,
Mm-hmm.
And I'll give you an example of myself before we, get into that. I had some really close, or I still do, but I still have the same friends I grew up with and, talk to my mom quite frequently. And obviously they know football, but they, obviously my mom never played. And, friend Jamal, he played, but he had more of a corporate America vision of it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'd be frustrated about a situation, maybe a contract game or something like that, their view of it was so refreshing and different and always was right on point because they were seeing it without the emotional attachment, without the experience of it at that level. Back to Bill Moose, Frost walks in, obviously
supposedly in sweatpants.
In sweat. I'm envisioning at the time that when he was up there, it next to Trev, and Frost had a big old dip in his mouth and T-shirt. I could assuming that he just was lounging. Him and Jared came in. They said, according to Bill, together, dip in his mouth. And this is your first impression, or could be your last impression. And his wife said, he's not ready. You can't show up like that. Now, granted, that's old school. Always present yourself you should always do that.
Mm-hmm.
Present yourself, on the up and up. But Bill Moose knew he had to hire him. That's the only hire. I mean, he's telling you, he's like, I had to hire him. He had eyes on Chip Kelly, probably like the same guy, just Chip Kelly's obviously more buttoned up. Obviously Chip Kelly, I'm sure it wasn't in sweatpants when he was at his house, right? And, that you kind of get off on the, the wrong foot and maybe Scott, I can't speak for Scott, and this isn't a bash thing on Scott, but I think Scott's smart enough and savvy enough and probably had the inside track, knew that Nebraska had to hire him. So they were desperate. That's where you never got past that immaturity.
Mm-hmm.
In some cases, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because then you feel like you can do whatever you want because they were desperate to have me. And that's where you start to hear some of the stories around town or kind of going rogue. And so that just kind of gives you more glimpse of some of the things that, never got remedied, throughout the tenure. And you can say that with also saying some of the things that worked against him that was out of his control. But if you're not handling the things that you can't control, the uncontrollables become more magnified.
Yeah.
And that was in it. And then you could talk about, he's going down to game day and he's getting, hey, let me get you, before you go on air with Kirk Herbstreit and them, I got something to tell you real quick. I thought you need me to be at the donor event. No. We just donated 10 more million, just to let you know. And it was probably to maybe announce it.
Right.
I'm sure as athletic director, you would probably like to be in those conversations, but sometimes that's just the way it is.
Well, if you're the athletic director, shouldn't you be the point person for those conversations? Taking it to the board, like, hey, I want to offer this guy
usually
an extension?
I don't know how this works. I would, like, if I was a head coach, I would, and I say we had obviously performed well, or I was at a part that you got to extend me or I got to get going. So I'm not a lame duck coach, but Scott wasn't nowhere in either one. He had 5 years left.
Mm-hmm.
And so he wasn't a lame duck, and they haven't had success. But
wonder who else had 5 years left and hadn't had much success. Sorry, different conversation for a different time.
So then I would assume your agent would, or like either the athletic director would reach out to your agent, or you or your agent, or the agent would reach out to you or to the athletic director. That's the way I assumed, but this way, I don't know how it got brought to the forefront there, and then eventually it happened, and when it doesn't work out, it's a big deal. When it does work out, man, you did it really good because you got them on the cheap because the price then versus the price after success would be, obviously significant higher, or actually you got them at a lower price. So you start to see, these are kind of some of the things that trickle down to the field, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're a little bit immature. You're probably a little bit lax on attention to detail. Probably weren't able to be out in the forefront of the program and stuff like that, and not saying that you need to be, like suited and tie all the time, but there is probably, an etiquette and a coach's uniform that you have to have, especially and it does vary whether you're in season or off season, because if I'm out coaching in the heat during 2-a-days, I'm not going to put a shirt and tie on,
right,
when I'm doing the interview. But on your Monday interviews, you probably got to be, like a little polo or something like that, or whatever, deems fit, or like a Nebraska gear, probably shave a little bit and just go from there. But
go without the dip for an hour or two.
Yeah. Or spit it out,
or that.
Yeah. Or, and all that stuff is.
It doesn't matter, but it adds up. But it adds up.
It matters, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And, winning does cure all that stuff, but then also you can start to nitpick some things when things don't work out. And that's just part of the business.
Yeah, I think my mind, not to say you didn't change my mind, because I agree with what you said. That they had to hire Scott Frost. Bill Moose had to. And Scott Frost had to take the job.
Yeah.
Because you can't bet on that coming open again. But it just led me, even down so many more paths, Jay. Like, we as, fans looking in, outside observers, like to have a scapegoat.
Yeah.
Like to have someone to blame when things go wrong, but also to point to for the success.
Yeah.
This guy is the reason, positive or negative. After everything we heard about the way the Regents operated, and, I don't know if they were the ones that, installed Bill Moose, if he was their guy or whatnot. We didn't really get that part of the story, at least that I heard. Or if that was, actually the Ted Carter, Hank Bounds, I guess at that time,
right,
Ronnie Green choice for Bill Moose, and then the Regents just approved him, whatever it was. But if the powers that be, let's call them, are just approving a guy that they know they can work around instead of, work through or work with, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And that draws a lot into question. If you're Bill Moose, the Nebraska job came open. One last go around, one last gig. You're not saying no to that job.
Right.
You can't know what you're walking into with that power structure, what they really think about you. So I'm sure they were good at putting on a good face, and maybe they went into it with nothing but the purest of intentions. And then someone or someone's got carried away, lost in the sauce, whatever, and all the decisions happen, right? I would also say, we talk about Scott Frost being immature, in the Nebraska job, showing up to the interview like that. Even just saying yes is an immature decision. But again, he couldn't turn it down with the external pressures he was feeling from people telling him to take it. Your alma mater doesn't come open very often. And, let me throw out the example of like a Lamont Paris at South Carolina. Had a really good year, said, no, I'm sticking it out here. South Carolina's gotten worse and worse and worse every year. And you just never know when your opportunity comes. So for Scott Frost, obviously he had to take it. And I 100% admit that. But I think it's also fair to say the mature thing to do would have been, I'm not ready. I love this place. I love this job. But if I'm not 100% convicted in taking this job, I have to say no, because I don't want to let it down. As tough as it might be pain of discipline versus pain of regret.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know, how invested or not invested Scott Frost was. I don't know what he's feeling.
Yeah.
But Jay, I not that I want him to feel the pain of regret, but he sure didn't seem to feel the pain of discipline. And I think one way to feel that pain of discipline, as you might call it, would be to have said no, and hoped and trusted in, the football gods, whatever you want to call them, to work it back out that when you, quote unquote, earn your right, pay the dues, whatever, and you're approaching the job with a better mindset and a better spot. However, it comes open. It will come open again, and you'll get your chance and be better for it. It's impossible to bank on that. But again, maybe I'm being the pie in the sky idealist. But.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you never know what's going on in somebody's mind or whether they weren't ready for it. I mean, I just, if you're never, when are you ever? It's like being a parent. It's like
right.
You can go to classes and all that stuff. You're just never ready when you got another human that you got to think every decision that you make is for them and not yourself anymore. Or even if you're married, the little baby or boy or girl comes first. So I don't think you're ever truly ready for that. You can kind of be equipped for it. I don't think you're ready until you do it.
Yeah.
I felt like, I think originally when he turned down the Colorado State job, I thought when he was at Oregon, that was like, okay, that was his point that, okay, I need another year at Oregon. So I'm not ready for that. UCF got it, learned the first year, knocked it out the park the next year. Okay, he figured out he's ready. Figures he's more mature. It seemed like, he had his stuff buttoned up or whatever. So you think you're at least more equipped for it, right? And then you come back and, I guess, he was hesitant about taking the job or whatever. And I don't know what the hesitation was. I mean, I just don't, I think when you're a leader of men, you don't ever run away from a challenge. And then you don't ever run away from a place that has done so much for you unjustly. You get what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying. And I have a follow-up question that I'm trying to find the right words for. Take this, incredibly, with the best positive construction, is trying to get into Scott's head. Were there any, lingering hurt feelings or leftover emotions from the fact that he left the first time, right? Did winning in 97 not cure anything? And, was Scott's love for Nebraska genuine, or was it just lip service? Maybe you can answer that. Maybe you can't. Only he can, truly, but that would lead me at least to maybe part of the hesitance.
Yeah, maybe that, or maybe, I didn't grow up in Nebraska. I read about Scott in the Blue Chip magazine and all that stuff. I know it was a big deal that they were even talking about it up in Minnesota. My area is when he went to Stanford, didn't go to Nebraska. It was huge. Probably one of the biggest initial losses for Coach Osborne.
Mm-hmm.
And then he came back, and then, he had a rough go at it when he was a red shirt, and then obviously won. 96 was a little tough, but then, he won. So, I think he moved well, got to the pros, and, I know that Coach Osborne had a hand in helping him getting coaching jobs and stuff like that. So so that's only thing I can think of. Now, whether he was ever truly invested in Nebraska or whatever, or, thought he was better in the program, whatever it was, then, that he can only answer that. I'm just looking at just on the surface,
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of guys that have wanted to get into coaching. A lot of guys weren't offered the opportunity. I won't say gifted, but put in the right position to be successful that quick no matter if you play in the pros or not, whether you're a former player at Nebraska or a former player anywhere. So I would have just thought all right, you knocked it out of the park at UFC or UCF, and Nebraska's coming calling. I'm going to come in there, work it twice as hard. I'm from here. It's my hometown, and, won championships here. Not that I'm going to be the second coming of Coach Osborne, but I can, provide something here. But if you're not ready for this type of job, then that's why you probably didn't go to Tennessee or Florida.
Well, Steven says hard to turn down $5 million a year.
Right.
Probably would have gotten that or close to it from Tennessee or Florida as well. You would have got
that from Tennessee or Florida, and who knows, you might even got more. I feel like at Florida, that your runway is shorter. I mean, your boy Sharkanindo got to 2 SEC championship games, and he was gone after 4 years because his wife was selling barbecue sauce or something, or whatever, in a pool party. Then he was a Saban disciple.
Yeah.
Right. So pressure there is, in my opinion, pressure at Florida for sure. Tennessee kind of depends on how you are with shaking hands and kissing babies and all that.
Does Phil Fulmer like you? Yes,
Right.
you're good.
Are you respectful? Because I got a lot of former teammates that are Tennessee Vols and stuff. So there's a certain way you do things. That could be, on the Florida level. That's nowhere near Nebraska here. Nebraska here is just, fanfare. Yeah, you're up in your business a lot or whatever, but it's not a big city. You can't. It's not like Minneapolis or something like that, or so.
Not really suburbs of Lincoln. You can go hide it.
No, so. It was unfortunate, but Bill Moose brought some light to it, man. It was just very interesting, the inner workings of it, and it happens everywhere. I mean, I'm sure just look at when Jimbo Fisher was at Texas A&M. He met with the AD, thought he was coming back. They raised all that money to $75 million, or it was more than it was 120 some million. Remember, they had to check at halftime. Well, 75 of them was essentially you were looking at your death certificate right there,
right? And you didn't know it at the time.
You didn't even know it at the time. And who knows if it was his call? It was his call or whoever's call. So all that type of stuff, and people that aren't necessarily at that position to make decisions, that happens all the time. I mean, look at LSU.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's just part of big business, big football business. It's corporate. But I just think Bill Moose and some of the stuff what he was saying, even like with the basketball coach and Dano, and then we're lucky with that because we were able to get Fred. We were lucky.
And that's kind of what I was talking about with Evan too. I didn't get to it in these words, so I'll bring it up with you. I think enough of the results, Jay, from the Bill Moose era have been fine, right? I mean, you land on Fred Hoiberg. Okay. Really bad process. If one of your regents is overruling and saying, no, I don't want you to do that, so I'm not going to allow you to do that. That's personal. That's petty. That's vindictive. It worked out. Congratulations. Pat yourselves on the back. Thank your lucky stars. Don't think it's always going to work out that way because as bad as things have been at Nebraska in a lot of ways, certainly relative to when you played and when things were going well, even relative to Bo Pelini, like as bad as things have been, it's not hard to imagine a world where things could be so much worse. As much as we're talking about the drama and everything that's going on in all sorts of programs, things could very easily be worse than where they are right now, right? I mean, Matt Rule could be going 3-9 every year. He's not, right? There could be even less alignment. Maybe it's better now. We don't know the inner workings or whatever. The scary part for me is that Nebraska is kind of lucked into maybe better results than you would expect, given the process we heard about playing out behind the scenes.
Yeah, and you never know, like what if you knew Fred was going to come here and you feel like, okay, that'd be great. Fred was like eyeing it and stuff like that. So it worked out in the process. At least there's some conviction, I would say, probably. And I'm sure there's people that have a little bit more pull I don't know if everybody has regions. I don't know I just kind of just look at who's coaching, who's not. I don't really, I'm not a region. So I need to call Joel Makovic now.
Yeah, you got the hometown hookup.
But I'm sure there's some that have a little bit more weight and stuff like that when it comes to that. And that's just part of it. And, I think, it worked itself out. And, you're moving on from a pretty successful coach in Tim Miles. You hit a little bit of a flat spot, but things changed so differently because of 2 or 3 years later, you had the transfer portal, you had NIL, and then the PBA in the atmosphere was just starting to take off, so you could really maybe shoot for the stars where we were able to get Fred, and he was coming, from the NBA. So we're kind of, lucked into it. There was no wrong answer there.
Right.
Dana or Fred.
Right.
You really had best of both worlds considering where we were at.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Considering where Nebraska was. And let's be fair to Tim Miles. Didn't leave the program in the worst spot.
Not
right.
At all.
He coached that last year without an extension. He was the lame duck coach. He never got fired from Nebraska. They just didn't extend him or whatever. Right. You have the magical year in 13-14. Bottom drops out in 14-15. 15-16, whatever. 16-17, fine. 17-18, you go 13-5 in the Big Ten, and you barely host a home game in the NIT. Kind of a slap in the face to the conference, but you bring everyone back. You're rolling to start the next year. You're in prime position to get a 6 or 7 seed in the NCAA tournament. Isaac Copeland hurts his knee. Everything goes off the rails. And I don't have this confirmed on the record, but the people I talked to I trust say that Tim Miles was already kind of looking over his shoulder there in 18-19 when he didn't get an extension offer. I've been told Tim Miles kind of knew the powers that be in Lincoln had their sights set on Fred Hoiberg. And you can understand,
that's what maybe that's what leads to no. And a lot of these things that I'm starting to learn. This is more in the NFL level, and I know this from experience. Like some of these job openings that come up, and this is the NFL, so I can't really talk about Nebraska. Like those conversations of where these coaches possibly could go are made or had during the season, and things are already kind of in motion. So maybe that was it. And that's a tough spot for Tim to be in, and he's been been able to go off and be successful, and we were able to get Fred, so it works out from there. It's just Bill Moose is just a very interesting character that came through here. He done probably more good than bad. He doesn't probably get a lot of credit because obviously, as you see, a lot of strings were being pulled, with or without him, and he wasn't able to kind of finish his tenure. We're going to put a bow on that or put a pin in that right there. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to talk about how quick when he announced that he was only going to do it for one more year, then it actually ended up like he was fired the next month. And then we're going to talk about also, when he was talking about when he was in Chicago and so forth and so on. So Jay Foreman, Austin Orman, Old School. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Just got new tires put on my car today.
You did? I didn't see you leave the office.
I didn't need to. Graham Tire picked up my car this morning and dropped it back off and they were done.
You're kidding. How'd you get that kind of service?
That's just what they do at Graham Tire.
Schedule your service online on the Pickup and Delivery tab at GrahamTireLincoln.com. That's GrahamTireLincoln.com. Let us do the running. Some limitations apply. See store for details.
Hey, Nebraska, this is your moment. Love Nebraska is already making noise on the court, but they're still missing one thing, a nickname. That's where you come in. Love Nebraska is giving fans the chance to submit the team's official nickname. Fans will then vote on the finalists later this season. Head to lovneb.com/nameyourteam to submit your nickname and get in the game. Submissions end on February 22nd. Name your team, shape the legacy.
Let's fly. Your next trip starts at Lincoln Airport with American Airlines. Now flying nonstop service to Dallas, Fort Worth, and Chicago. American Airlines connects Lincoln to major hubs and destinations around the globe. Wherever you're headed, LNK gets you there with new nonstop flights on American Airlines.
Now boarding.
Convenient, fast, and stress-free. Book your next flight at LincolnAirport.com. LNK, make flying easy.
For remote starters, audio upgrades, and more, there's only one place to go. Auto Sounds of Lincoln at 48th and O.
Empire Netting and Fence delivers top quality netting and fence solutions. From major sports venues to backyard installs and everything in between, coast to coast. We take on tough jobs with grit, integrity, and a strong commitment to safety. Empire is growing, and we're hiring motivated people ready to grow with us. We build each other up, and we're building something big. Think you've got what it takes? Apply now at empire-fence.com. That's empire-fence.com.
Are you looking for something different for lunch or dinner in Lincoln? Big 8 is now open at 1226 P Street, serving seafood boils and Asian cuisine. Get your hands messy with fresh, flavorful seafood boils, hot, cold, and made to share. Or enjoy classic Chinese and Asian dishes, perfect for lunch, dinner, or a night out with friends and family. Big flavors, generous portions, and a brand new dining experience. Big 8, now open in Lincoln.
In a world where Wi-Fi battles rage and bandwidth is never enough, one family dares to connect it all. Work from home, influence all day, stream all night, and game to win. Deadlines, downloads, and dance-offs, all happening under one roof, flawlessly. Can your internet provider do that? Fiber fuel your household at allofiber.com/all-in.
Bundle up, bring your crew, and make this winter one for the books with Bachfest on Saturday, February 21st at Beer House. Enjoy winter brews that will tangle with your taste buds, polka dancing, games like Hammerschlagen and Stein Stamina, and more. Bach beer will be flowing and sausages and pretzels will be available for purchase. Doors open at 11 a.m. and the party goes outside until 6 p.m. before moving inside. VIP tickets are $75, but just $10 gets you in the door. Buy your tickets today at beerhousene.com for Bachfest on Saturday, February 21st.
If you've been around Lincoln for more than a few years, you've heard of Dewey's Computer Service. We've been fixing computers for nearly 30 years. Now, we're Wingman IT, and we take care of all the things that go buzz, beep, or ding for your business. Our team of support engineers take care of everything from computers and servers to business phones, network cabling, firewalls, and most importantly, IT security. We take care of technology so you can focus on running your business. Call us or visit us at wingmanit.com.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
MWR, a local company of Lincoln, is proud to announce they are able to offer their own post-frame building packages in metal to anyone desiring a building, whether you're a contractor or a DIYer. They can install your building as always, and they offer multiple different rib profiles and loads of color options, including the wood grain metal at great competitive prices. You can inquire at mwrbuildingandfence.com or just draw your desired building and submit it in their contact us page and they'll get back to you. Call MWR today at 402-540-8966.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
What up, we're back. Jay Foreman, Austin Orman, second segment. Bill Moosegate. It was a couple good chapters, or a good what a glimpses into it when I spent the $12. That's bad then.
And so
Yeah, because I was trying to get the hard copy, but got it. But I think with his tenure is a little interesting because I think he had an interview, and I think he might have had one more year left in his contract, which you kind of put yourself out there, because I think if he wouldn't have said, I don't know what the direct quote was, but I think he said, "Hey, look, I'm gonna finish out my contract," or something like that. People can look it up. Texters, you can text in what it was, but I think he was just like, "All right, he had one more year on his deal," and then he's like, "I'm gonna do one more year, then I'm done." That kind of speeds up the process because they're gonna like, "All right, we got to look for somebody within a year. Why not just do it right now? Right? You're gonna pay him anyways."
AD in waiting sort of thing,
waiting,
maybe.
Yeah. Or if you say, "Hey, I got a lot of energy, I'm going to keep going. I got some big plans and stuff," then you could probably maybe pop a 2 or 3 year extension out of that, and then that's where you obviously make a move pretty quickly. Kind of how Sean Eichhorst got here. I think Coach Osborne said that I'm going to stay on for another year. I want to make sure the university's in a good place. Next thing you know, Sean, I'll never forget this. I was up and seeing old teammate Matt Verzal, and it came on the ticker. The two things that were the most, or the out of the left field hires, was Sean Eichhorst, got hired, and then when Mike Riley got hired, I was up at his pizza shop. I was like, man, we ain't sold enough of Foreman 44 pizzas, man. We gotta get another location, brother. Yeah, we got another location. So I think that kind of was a big deal in that, and then his tenure, because it ended kind of abruptly, right? And kind of to coincide with that, he's in Chicago, and I think that was on the back, or piggybacking off of, I think he had an interview where he was saying, hey, look, when he's out seeing John Smith, the farmer, and he'll go down to the local pub and have some beers or whatever, and whatever the so-called rumors was, but he said he was in Chicago, had to use his own credit card, but then somehow by the time he got to work on Monday, what were you doing on Saturday night, dollar bill? What were you doing? So then he thought, like, all right, he's got a target on his back, and so now, granted, if you're in a position of you're an athletic director, you're a highly paid state employee. If that's in your contract or how you got to, act, then so be it. But that's where all those things like in his tenure probably pop up. So you never really got the full Bill Moose start to finish, but he said writing this book is therapeutic because I think he clears his name a little bit or clears up some situations, because he probably never got to really have an exit press conference. And so, look, he's lived quite a life, when you look at it, all his whole book and obviously being up in Montana and all this other stuff and
Washington State,
Washington
Oregon,
State,
Montana, all that. Yeah.
And, played football a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So he's done it, the hard way. And so that's why it's, really interesting. But, that last little chapter there, the last couple quotes in there was a little bit of, I won't say cringeworthy, but close to it.
Not that, Bill Moose is college athletics royalty, but I think it's just another reminder, Jay, so few people get to pick the way they go out.
In anything.
Even at any time.
And even in corporate America.
Yeah.
You see it where
maybe you didn't do anything wrong per se, but it came off wrong, was interpreted wrong. Someone else has been thinking it's been time for a change, and there's the little impetus for the push over the edge to get that snowball rolling. I think it's just a good reminder of a couple things. Number one, everyone's human, right? This is Bill Moose's side of the story. Bill Moose isn't perfect, and he admits to some mistakes in the book, things he wished he would have done differently. It's a good reminder that if you have people above you, superiors underneath you, trying to get your position, whatever it is, your position's your position. It comes with standards and expectations. Right. So even if you are, just human, doing the best you can to muddle through or whatever, sometimes you got to find ways to rise above it, right? That Chicago incident, right? I would say Bill Moose didn't do anything wrong necessarily, but his misstep would be not knowing he had that target on his back, either because he didn't know it was there. I would, fault him less for that. But if you didn't know, based on everything you said, based on the way that you'd had people give you the runaround before, shouldn't you play it safe just to be careful?
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. So it's just a good reminder that, you can never be too careful. Don't let that stop you from living and being human. But man, there are standards and expectations for a reason sometimes.
Yeah, and you just don't know though. I mean, like granted, it's his side, Nebraska side, and probably what happened, and it wasn't anything like huge or anything like that. It's probably normal practice. I think I'm assuming. I can't speak for anybody, so maybe he was on a no strike policy or whatever. Kind of maybe he didn't know he was on a no strike policy, and a lot of times that happens, man. I mean, I think.
But then that's not fair of Nebraska not to tell him he's on a no strike policy.
Well, sure. I mean, that's probably not even the case. I was just saying sometimes, there's times there was times in the NFL where a guy would, I guess, quote unquote, either get benched or have a quick hook, and you're like, well, what did he do on the field? Had nothing to do with it. It'd be the assistant GM that's going to be the next GM wanted to get a look at player B.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to see if he's good. And we need player A not to play so much because he has incentives.
And he's already expensive.
Or we need to keep him healthy so we can either trade him or get rid of him.
Mm.
So it has nothing to do. And I remember this. Bobby Greer, rest in peace. I remember this. And, he was a good friend of my dad. And that's when I was working with the Texans and, doing the stuff up in the, I was doing everything, whether from getting coffee, papers, trying to look at the computer and scout, you know what I mean? And then I somehow got the blessing to go with Wade Phillips and them and work out J.J. Watt, or at least be there and watch. But I remember him telling me, I was asking him about my time in Houston, kind of like ended. It was kind of, I was hurt, but, and he was like, Jay, you'll never know. He's like, if there was 10 reasons, 7 of them were for you to stay, and there might have been 3, and it would have had nothing. Nobody even knew. But nobody, you know what I'm saying? So you always, what he was saying is things happen and it has nothing to do with you. You're just kind of like a piece.
You're pawn on the chessboard.
Yeah, you're just a pawn. That's all it is. And
you're not the queen, not the king.
Right, and that's why I always try to, if I ever get to talk to these players, that when you come in here, it's great. You get to Nebraska. This is back to Nebraska. You're getting the fanfare. It's great. You're getting the followers. You're getting the attention. 3.5 years goes by quick, man. Because in 3.5 years, here's what you should do at Nebraska. Let's just say 4, but 3.5 years. You should be able to come in, establish yourself on the field in some form or fashion of being a reliable, stable player. Now, if you end up being all conference and all that, then that's, you did your job. Dang, what it should be graduated. And with NIL, especially with the football team, you should have a nice little nest egg.
At 21, 22 years old.
Yeah, 22 years old. For sure, right? Give or take. Depends on if you come in as an old freshman or whatever. Maybe 23. And if you stay another year, all those things are magnified. But at the end of the day, you will go from future Husker, former Husker. There ain't no changing. Old boy in Montana has got 9 years. He's going to be a former Montana Grizzly or whatever they are sooner or later. And my point is you can't control it sometimes. I'll give you the story. I talk about this all the time. Jermaine Johnson, from Eden Prairie High School, my high school, have a connection with him, still talk to him, had talked to him and, extensively about coming to Nebraska. He had went to JUCO with your boy Jason Brown down there, and that was an Independence, right? I think. Was on the show, and very rarely. He did get cussed out by Jason one time, and he said it wasn't even him, but he just took it, right? Wanted to come to Nebraska, wanted to come here. Nobody really followed up with him. He ends up going to Georgia, does pretty well, just adjusting, going from JUCO to Georgia. This is when Georgia started to really get going, and then he gets into that second year there, right? So he's no longer the young bull coming in, and he's in that second or third year. Well, now they're bringing in freshmen, and then they already have established seniors. So you're in that gray area, right?
Yeah.
But didn't get in trouble, wasn't speeding, was a productive player when he played, but the reps weren't there, right? So he has to go find a new home in Florida State. The rest is history. So what I'm saying is that sometimes things happen that are out of your control. It's circumstantial. Bill Moose's situations like that, sometimes it's circumstantial in the situation. I doubt Jermaine Johnson was going to go there knowing that they were going to recruit over him with probably 2 or 3 future first-round picks.
Right.
Because he's probably recruited as a first-round pick, but his class didn't have the depth. Well, if you don't have the depth and you have one player, he's learning, here comes the dudes that are going to only be there for 3 years. So then you get caught in, a little bit in transition. So
the other piece of this, if I could, Jay, I mean, we've talked about athletic arrogance, right? In a good way, right? I'm that dude when I step onto the field. You got to be understanding of your nature as a pawn, right? In a good way, right? You're a cog in the machine. You're vital. You have your role to play. You can't walk into campus, thinking of yourself as the king or the queen on the chessboard, right? But this also, I think, puts the emphasis on coaches, where players turn over every year.
Yeah.
You might have them for, we've talked about 6 months, right? Late transfer portal edition, gone by the time the season ends, to not treat them as replaceable cogs in the machine, but to find ways to connect with them as people. So even if it is just a pawn, right? A third stringer, right? That'll, get some really backup reps or some just special teams reps, or is in at the end of blowouts, whatever it is, to make those people feel like kings, like they had an important piece of team success, where I know you're going to focus the bulk of your development on your 2 deep and maybe your 3s, maybe. But for players to have the humility of the pawn, right, in that analogy, and then grow into being, your rook, your knight, your bishop, whatever you are on the chessboard, a versatile piece that plays a role, or more obvious role, I should say. But then for coaches not to just treat guys like pawns. No, we can get by without you. We got other pieces. They're I think, ways that you can take this chess analogy, for positive or for negative on both sides of this.
Yeah, I mean, very rarely, do you get like Eric Crouch, Tommy Frazier, those guys that come to, those are not every recruiting class or every 4 years. It's every, maybe 10 years, and Dominican Sue, and you got to work up to that, right? I mean, obviously, and Dominican Sue, once the coaching staff changed, Bo Pelini and along with Dominican went to the whole nother level. So, that's why even while you're here, whether it's 6 months or, well, heck, in some cases 6 years, you got to make the most of it, but understand where you're at, though.
Yeah.
no one player is the savior of a program. It will take players, and it will take circumstances. It will take luck, and it will have to be also situational where people take advantage of the situation. And so, you see a little bit of a glimpse of that into, Bill Moose. I think one of his quotes it was when he wanted to come to Nebraska is like, we want to build this thing and we want to be able to recruit every kid in America and, put Nebraska on the map. In some ways, he did that. Now, obviously, a lot of the stuff of the, success of Nebraska, both as an athletic department, depended on the football team being successful. So that didn't happen. There's plenty of blame to go around. But, when you get to Nebraska as a player, as you move forward, whether it's this team this year or teams in the future, these players now or players in the future, you do have to have some sort of sense of reality, because, if you get, Nick Saban calls it rat poison. If you just get kind of high off the rat poison and not have any like true H2O, when that clock strikes 12, then you'll be looking like what if, and then you'll talk about the pain of discipline versus regret. And nobody's perfect. Nobody in life is perfect, both on and off the field. So in your personal life, nobody's perfect. On the field, you're not perfect. You just got to be able to try to, not really, hurt yourself as much as possible. So I think Bill Moose did a good job of that. And then obviously it was just very interesting. I think the most interesting thing was the initial meeting with Scott Frost, because that's not what people thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody.
Well, the first thing we thought was that one in Philadelphia,
right?
When it was a Temple UCF.
Yeah, nobody. Yeah, so nobody originally thought that Bill was hesitant about getting Frost. We heard later on that Frost was a little hesitant, even up after he accepted the job. And you know what? I guess give Scott credit if he felt like if he knew it and he learned from it, from now, give him credit, because sometimes when you know it and don't, you just got to be man enough to admit it. You can't change it. You just got to learn from it. So you got to give Scott credit if he can, recognize that some things maybe he was not allowing himself to see, and was maybe trying to do it for bigger purposes. And he learned from it, so you got to give him some credit there.
On our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line, Captain Obvious, we're going to need you to clarify here. Says, I don't know, you put a prime foreman on a struggling team, he might save them. Chuck or Jay?
Well, hey, I'll tell you like this. When my dad got to the Vikings, I think they were not struggling. They were just above struggling, and I think he turned them around. That's why he's potentially a Hall of Famer. Now,
T.O. didn't win until you got there. Let's point that out, too.
That is, that was until we got there. So my class got there. You guys couldn't get over the hump. Now, that definitely wasn't the reason. But I will tell you, somewhat prime Jay Foreman went down to Houston, and I wasn't turning that
tackle.
But we didn't turn that we didn't turn that thing around. But I didn't turn that thing around. I was handling my business. But every time I looked there, it was a little bit light on the points. You know what I'm saying? So it was
Thanks, David.
And it was light on those win columns too. So anyway, we're gonna take a quick break, come back, put a bow on this beautiful Thursday. Still got some light out, man. So you don't need the grill light yet. So Jay Foreman, Austin Orman, we'll take a quick break, come back.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Tired of your furnace running overtime this winter? Let Heartland of Nebraska Windows save the day. Upgrade to stunning, energy-saving triple-pane vinyl windows installed by their team of experts. Every window comes with a lifetime warranty on everything, all for a price you can actually afford. Free estimates, flawless replacements, and peace of mind from a family-owned business you can trust. Don't wait. Call Heartland of Nebraska Windows at 402-430-3852 or visit heartlandofnebraskawindows.com today.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstoRats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
This is Bill Mitchner, Executive Director of Lincoln Lighthouse. Did you know Lighthouse provides multiple programs for students such as one-on-one tutoring and mentoring, as well as pro-social skill exercises, while providing them a nourishing meal and a safe space during all months of the year, even during school breaks? Learn more or contribute to Lighthouse at lincolnlighthouse.org today.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
In a world where Wi-Fi battles rage and bandwidth is never enough, one family dares to connect it all. Work from home, influence all day, stream all night, and game to win. Deadlines, downloads, and dance-offs, all happening under one roof, flawlessly. Can your internet provider do that? Fiber fuel your household at allofiber.com/all-in.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old-fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Bauer Underground has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know that the best workers in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and a pedigree of success. They're offering top-notch benefits, a matching 401k, and a $600 per year clothing allowance. Bauer Underground, a family-friendly company with plenty of room for advancement.
MWR, a local company of Lincoln, is proud to announce they are able to offer their own post-frame building packages in metal to anyone desiring a building, whether you're a contractor or a DIYer. They can install your building as always, and they offer multiple different rib profiles and loads of color options, including the wood grain metal at great competitive prices. You can inquire at mwrbuildingandfence.com or just draw your desired building and submit it in their Contact Us page, and they'll get back to you. Call MWR today at 402-540-8966.
Let's fly. Your next trip starts at Lincoln Airport with American Airlines. Now flying nonstop service to Dallas, Fort Worth, and Chicago. American Airlines connects Lincoln to major hubs and destinations around the globe. Wherever you're headed, LNK gets you there with new nonstop flights on American Airlines.
Now boarding.
Convenient, fast, and stress-free. Book your next flight at LincolnAirport.com. LNK, make flying easy.
Empire Netting and Fence delivers top quality netting and fence solutions. From major sports venues to backyard installs and everything in between, coast to coast. We take on tough jobs with grit, integrity, and a strong commitment to safety. Empire is growing, and we're hiring motivated people ready to grow with us. We build each other up, and we're building something big. Think you've got what it takes? Apply now at empire-fence.com. That's empire-fence.com.
Back to old school with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Well, we're back. Jay Foreman, Austin Orman, old school quick segment here. Obviously, Coach, this last hour was on the book from Bill Moose. Interesting stuff.
Book club starts next week.
Yeah, right. Gonna have a book report. But quickly, Austin, obviously you were at the game, right? Nebraska, Purdue. the first like 4 minutes is always huge, and I think that's the only game that we've seen in a very long time though for this team. That's why it was such an outlier with the slow start. Just the energy seemed a little bit off. Obviously they got going, and then overtime was just Purdue maybe just made a couple plays here and there. I think for Nebraska, I think it's the toughest competition you're going to have or close to it. You're going to drop some games. I think they just got to get back to understanding that, look, teams are going to defend you as hard as possible. So now you got to be able to maybe win those 50-50 battles. Definitely have to win the energy part. And then obviously with the rebounding is something that, even though Purdue's a pretty good rebounding team, they're big dudes, man. And they're big physical guys. Nebraska can probably really lessen that margin. And my sweet spot is 12 or less.
Sure.
And I've been kind of on point and throughout, like since Fred's been here, it's been about that. And 12 is on the high side. If Nebraska's at 10 or less, I like Nebraska's chances. That's an easy goal for them. Now it's harder to do. I think they'll bounce back Saturday here, very quickly.
Yeah, I'm less concerned about the rebounding. That was really the first time that it came to a head to that degree against a team that was bigger than Nebraska, but not that much bigger. Team that wanted it more. It was the little things that I think got away from Nebraska. This, to me, Jay, is a team that just needs that winning feeling back, right? Yeah. It's been a tough stretch for them. They've dealt with the injuries, the illness, and the toughest part of their schedule, probably. Not to say it eases up, right? Even though, Iowa, who they're going to play a week from, 5 days from now, I guess, just lost on the road at Maryland. Not a good loss for Iowa there. They still have enough challenges in front of them, I think, to keep them focused and not looking past this stretch into March. But they're games that, against teams of the caliber that Nebraska's found ways to win against, right? Nebraska just hasn't had enough firepower. Has been one play or two plays short against your Michigans, your Illinois, your more established Purdue's. I still think Nebraska is playing at a top 15 level overall. Now, you'd like to see them play like a top 15 team for 40 minutes instead of a top 15 team for 20 and a bottom 15 team for 20. Like, it seems like they're a little more up and down than you might think for a team that's ranked where it is. But if Nebraska settles in that, top 8 to 15 range in the AP poll, that's probably about where they'll be seated in the NCAA tournament. They're fine. I'm not pressing the panic button or anything. Certainly some things to tighten up and clean up, but Nebraska's still in a really good spot.
They'll be fine. It's a good, it's good learning lessons. You don't lose, you learn. Yeah. They learned a lot, so they'll be spirited come Saturday, and then once again on Tuesday. So, anyways, is it for Old School. We'll holler at you tomorrow. Austin Norman, Jay Foreman. Look forward to hearing you tomorrow.
Looking to get a room downtown or near South Lincoln? Abe Lincoln would tell you no to the Ford Theater and yes to Lincoln Hotel. Save up to 40% off downtown Lincoln prices with a nice clean room and comfortable stay. Lincoln Hotel is locally owned and offers a day pass to the city's largest locally owned gym, Good Life Fitness. Long-term stays are available. You can learn more about pricing and book your Lincoln Hotel stay today at staylnk.com or call 402-600-0565. That's staylnk.com or call 402-600-0565.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Are you looking for something different for lunch or dinner in Lincoln? Big 8 is now open at 1226 P Street, serving seafood boils and Asian cuisine. Get your hands messy with fresh, flavorful seafood boils, hot, cold, and made to share. Or enjoy classic Chinese and Asian dishes. Perfect for lunch, dinner, or a night out